The Australian gaming scene is on the move and fast.
The angle right.
Season 1 of Gfinity's Elite Series changed everything. Melbourne Order may have ruled in the Rocket League decider.
And Melbourne Order are your Gfinity Season 1 champions.
But they didn't steal all the headlines.
There he's done it! Melbourne Avant have crushed the Chiefs. Chiefs go down.
In the playoffs, Avant's spectacular win sparked roster mania.
There's a lot of really solid teams in there this season, so it's going to be tough competition.
Perth Ground Zero just need to slam it down. Oh, Evolution!
We're a completely new team and we want to prove ourselves. We want to make Order proud.
Or will the Sydney Chiefs regain their aura from Season 1?
I believe the Chiefs can knock them off this year.
The players are fired up.
Anybody can take down anybody.
It's game on.
One mistake and it could just cost you the game.
Let the revolution continue.
Welcome to Season 2 of Rocket League in the Gfinity Elite Series, presented by Alienware. In particular, to everyone watching on 10 Peach for the first time live around Australia, we're at the Hoyts Gfinity Esports Arena in the Entertainment Quarter in Sydney. Ash, it is great to be back.
It really is. There is so much to look forward to this season, starting with the defending champions, Melbourne Order, who take on Sydney Raw today. That's a match you guys do not want to miss.
Yeah, and there's more great news for Rocket League fans, because this season we've partnered with Incent to reward viewers for watching the Gfinity Elite Series.
During each match, keep an eye out for a special drop code to earn yourself some currency. All the information you need is at gfinity.incentloyalty.com.
So what is the Gfinity Elite Series all about? Well, here is everything you need to know about the competition this season.
Here's a rundown of how the Gfinity Australia Elite Series format works. The tournament will be played out across 3 games: CS:GO, Rocket League, and the iconic Street Fighter V. 6 professional esports clubs will go head-to-head over 7 weeks of intense competition. Interstate rivalries will be reignited, and Australia's big city matchups between Sydney and Melbourne will be fierce. Our clubs will kick things off with league play, a 5-week round-robin format that will see them chase a place in the top 4 on the leaderboard to secure a spot in the semi-finals. And remember, teams are not only fighting for glory in each game, but also the overall title of Gfinity Elite Series Club Champion. Besides the coveted title of Elite Series Champion, there's also some serious money on the line, with a total prize pool of $225,000. So, bring it on. Let's give it up for our teams, who are warmed up, razor sharp, and ready to write some Australian esports history.
Right now, it's time to welcome our Rocket League analyst for Season 2. You might remember him from Season 1. He's the amazing Yummy Cheese Man, a.k.a. David Lane. Let's give him a huge round of applause, guys. He's back again.
Keep going.
Keep going, more. Yummy, we have got another huge season ahead of us. A lot of roster changes. What can we look forward to?
Season 1 really set the stage for this season. After Chiefs got that massive upset, they changed their roster and it caused a cascade of changes. No roster remained the same. There's brand new teams, and this season is going to be closer than ever.
Well, do you think that Melbourne Order can maintain that win that they had from last season?
Well, they've changed their roster as well. Melbourne Order, that we knew, the championship team, they moved to Sydney Raw. Now they're in Las Vegas playing for the World Championship. And the order that we have remains with Dumbo, and they are a solid team. There's 3 front runners right now: Sydney Raw, Sydney Chiefs, and Order, who I expect all will be in the finals.
Well, if you haven't seen Rocket League before, you might be wondering what we're talking about. Well, Yummy Cheese Man's got you covered.
So, what is Rocket League? Imagine soccer played with cars with rockets strapped to them. Rocket League is a fast-paced, high-flying game where each team of 3 is trying to send a ball into the opposition's goal using nothing more than the physics of the game. The arena is enclosed on all sides by walls and a roof, allowing players to bounce the ball in all directions. See those orange glowing pads around the arena? Scattered across the floor are boost pads and orbs that players can pick up, fill their boost, and allow them to fire their rockets for a burst of speed. Cars can jump, and combined with their rockets, they can make death-defying acrobatics, huge aerials, and massive saves. If a player gets their car to supersonic speeds, they can demolish their opponents with a well-timed ram, taking them out for just a few seconds. After 5 minutes of intense action, the team with the most goals will win. However, if the scores are tied when the countdown reaches 0, players will face a nerve-wracking overtime where the next goal wins.
So let's recap the major points heading into Season 2 of Rocket League, brought to you by Dare Ice Coffee and Astro Headsets. 6 teams play each other once, with the top 4 progressing to semi-finals. In the regular season, each match is best of 5 games. If a team wins, they receive 3 points. If a team loses 3-2, they receive 1 point. Semi-final and grand final matches is best of 7 games. Total prize money pool is $42,500.
I'd love to get me some of that sweet cash. Yummy Cheese Man, it is early in the season. We're going to put you on the spot right now. Who do you reckon is going to go all the way?
It's really tough. There's 2 big front runners, Sydney Chiefs and Sydney Raw. I think it will go to the Sydney teams, one of them. But Sydney Raw have had the best off-season. They're the first team at the World Championship, and I think they will edge it out.
Sydney Raw, early call, bold stuff. Let's take you through the Week 1 matchups right now. The defending champions are kicking things off. We have Melbourne Order taking on Sydney Raw. Then it's Sydney Chiefs stepping up against Perth Ground Zero. And finally, Melbourne Avant, last season's finalists, tackle the Brisbane Deceptors. Yummy Cheese Man, the Chiefs must be desperate to get back on stage after that shock loss to Avant in the playoffs last season, yeah?
It was such a tough loss, and that's really scary when you have a team like the Chiefs who will not accept anything less than perfection. When they take a loss like that, they're going to come back twice as strong. They're going to want it twice as much, and I'm scared for anyone that's going to be in their opposition.
Well, what do you think Avant's prospects are for Season 2?
Avant had a big change-up. They've lost their star player, Zen, and they're going to have a really tough journey throughout this season. They're going to have to really fight back just to get in that finals and see if they can cause that upset again.
Well, speaking of Zen, let's take a look right now at the Sydney Raw lineup for today. Yummy, it is still a strong team, isn't it?
It really is. They are missing that championship caliber. They're over in Las Vegas preparing for the World Championship, but they're backed up by their draftees, Deca and Delusion. They were on the same team throughout the last 6 months. They have a lot of experience together, and those two are a big offensive duo. And they're matched by Talandino, who got a lot of experience under the Chiefs roster last season.
Well, they're opposing today. They actually are the title winners from Season 1, Melbourne Order. Here's their starting 3 lineup. Well, David, talk us through.
They have to defend their title against what was the roster that ended up taking it out, but Dumbo is still there, and he's the important factor. He's the captain of this team that's bringing these 2 young players with a lot of experience. You've got Zen, who was the star player that caused that upset from Avant, but you have Jules, who may just be the best player here today. Wow. When you consider that the 2 teams are over at the World Championship, he's the best of the rest.
Well, exciting stuff then in this first game. We'll get into more analysis. We are live, guys, with Yummy Cheese Man later. Right now, let's welcome our first team to the Gfinity Esports Arena today. Please go absolutely nuts for the Sydney Raw! And here they come, the Gfinity Elite Series champions from Season 1. Give it up for Melbourne Order! Okay, our opening match is not far away. Make sure you follow us at Gfinity AU on socials to get notified when we go live on CSGO, Rocket League and Street Fighter. We're off to a quick break right now, but on the way out, here's the first episode in our new series, Path to Pro, giving you the edge with Alienware.
I'm Yummy Cheese Man, Gfinity Elite Series Rocket League analyst, and I'm here to take you on a journey on your path to pro, thanks to Alienware. Becoming familiar with the Rocket League community is one of the core foundations for building a successful career in the game. As a new player wanting to take the first step in their professional journey, the Rocket League community can be your greatest asset. Knowing where to look will make this significantly easier. Some of the major platforms in Oceania to access the Rocket League community live on Discord, Facebook and Twitter. The main hub for community in the region is Rocket League Oceania, who host discussion and announce all Rocket League tournaments in the region. Make sure to follow @RL Esports on Twitter and join the official Rocket League Discord to keep up with all the international news. Aspiring players can find resources on regional developments and how to improve your gameplay via different Twitch and YouTube channels. Sunless Khan's Why You Suck at Rocket League series on YouTube speaks to players who are looking to make improvements by covering all the fundamentals of gameplay.
So I know there's a lot of Rocket Leaguers out there, like me, who wonder why they're having trouble ranking up. Well, this series will be perfect for you.
Ultimately, the best way to discover the community is by entering organised competitions. Rocket League Oceania hosts free-to-enter competitions several times per week and provide a great environment for new players to find teammates and hone their skills. Check out our social channels for links covered in this video, and good luck on your path to pro.
Mr. Murray, have you decided on a name?
We're thinking Callum.
Callum Murray.
Callum Murray.
Callum Murray.
Let's make it Jack.
Drink it through with Dare iced coffee.
3 days ago, Coda announced that Zero would join Cell 7 in the upcoming Soma Worlds tournament. After so many league victories, switching teams this close to the tournament appears to be a deliberate move to destroy Coda's chance at the title.
My gamertag comes from my early origins of playing in esports. It was generally a pretty big rage fest from me. I had to reform. My best skill in the game is, I think, my unpredictability. I can generally pull out a play that is very unexpected. I can catch the defense off guard. Last season was massive for me. The LAN experience was amazing, and we ended up beating Chiefs on their 18-month undefeated win streak. Tossos, I think, trying to trash talk before the game.
They're not very good.
Adds a lot of pressure, so I think he definitely crumbled underneath it.
This is like going to a Metallica concert and you find Enya singing on stage.
I still think I have a lot to prove as a player. I really want to exceed people's expectations. Very confident in defending the title with order.
Looking forward to some more Zen magic this season. You're back on the Gfinity Elite Series. We are moments away from our first Rocket League clash between Melbourne Order and Sydney Raw. Before we join our casters, Alienware is giving you a chance to win a brand new M15 laptop this season. It's the thinnest and lightest 15-inch Alienware gaming notebook ever, and this is your chance to take one home. There are 9 different ways to enter. Go to gfinityesports.com.au for more information. Yummy Cheese Man, what are your thoughts on Melbourne Order? They've got a new look roster. They've got Dumbo, Jules and Zen. What are their strengths?
It is a new look roster, but we know the organisation Order. They pick up the best players they possibly can, and this team has a lot of potential. They're looking to get the championship again. They're looking to go to the World Championship as well.
They're looking cool at the moment.
And they are looking, yeah, I mean, Jules has to, I guess, make up for his last LAN appearance where he didn't win a single series at the World Championship, but he does have that international experience. Jules as well, obviously in the grand final of last season, and Dumbo winning it out. There's a lot of experience on this team.
And Sydney Raw, plenty of people have tipped them to shake up Season 2. What do you reckon?
Well, it's the Sydney versus Melbourne matchup. There's so much on the line when it comes not just to getting this series, but also the pride that comes along with that. But Sydney Raw, they've brought their draftee team. They're not bringing their A game. They're hoping that their draft roster can take down a strong team like Order. And it's going to be very tough considering they're not going to have that same level of teamwork you'd expect from a core roster.
So do you think it's going to be Order today?
I think it should be Order.
Yeah.
It could be close, but I think Order, they've been playing so well, they keep improving, and they've got that experience. They should be able to take it out.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's enough talk. Let's have some action back by popular demand, our Rocket League casters from Season 1. So let's give it up right now for Jake Ozzie-Penko and James Cowan. Make some noise for them, guys.
Kind as always. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Gfinity Elite Series for season number 2. We'll formally welcome you back. Jim Nesso, Hysterics right here. And our host has changed shirts. And why shouldn't he for a brand new season?
I know. He's taking inspiration from maybe you.
Maybe.
He's toned it down a
So
little
he's
bit.
looking nicer or
He's
worse?
looking fantastic.
Oh,
He's
fantastic.
looking smooth.
I just had to check that your alignment there. So it's good. So Luke stepped up a little bit. Now you and I have to measure that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we always step up to the plate, but I'm keen to see whether or not the teams here step up to the plate as well. Yeah, okay, it's questionable. But in terms of what Sydney Raw have to do today, they have to set the team up for a great season ahead. As we said, the main roster are away at the World Championship right now, and they've got some big shoes to fill. Order, on the other hand, they're keen to get their season off to a great
And
start.
obviously, Order's had a big influence on Jules here because this is not Street Fighter, this is Rocket League. But for some reason, we have another player wearing sunglasses in the middle of the day inside. So I'm curious how Jules is going to play with this, if it's going to affect his gameplay at all, and I expect him to take him off pretty soon, but we'll see.
Look, I think he lives his life in the shade, so he doesn't really need the sunglasses anyway, but we'll see how he plays today. As we said, he's quite a strong mechanical player as well. I'm keen to see how Delusion goes. We saw him in Season 1. He had to work out the nerves when he was playing for Ground Zero. He's done that. He was quite an outlet for them in terms of offense, and I'm keen to see him replicate that performance.
This is an important matchup, like they were talking about on the desk. We're going to jump straight into it. No waiting here at all. Sydney Raw, Melbourne Order. Your support needs to be shown right now. The first game here of the Gfinity Elite Series for season number 2. And Sydney Raw, big expectations when the team comes back. We have the draftees. We have Melbourne Order with the strongest roster. And Melbourne Order are here to play.
Certainly are, and it's important they get themselves off to a good start. This is the best of 5 for those of you playing at home. So that means they've got 5 of these matches potentially to settle themselves in. This first match is always an interesting affair. Teams finding their feet. More importantly, playing on stage for the first time. And there can be a few mistakes which can be telling, and they need to get that ball out of goal.
Oh, the punish is already there. Melbourne Order strike through first 30 seconds.
And they really struggled to clear that, so unfortunately they were punished for just messing around a bit too much. Talendino, not a lot you could do. Delusion late there in the end, and I think Dumbo was just in the right place at the right time. Melbourne Order getting themselves off to the perfect start.
Good strong offense there from Melbourne Order. Just didn't stop in those first 30 seconds and already off to that 1-0 kick against Sydney Raw. And in game number 1, we were questioning how Sydney Raw would come into this when their roster is overseas, when they're running 3 draft players against Melbourne Order, the defending champions with a new roster. It was also a test for them too. That's the kick you want to see. Taken away by Talendino.
And that is the answer back that they needed almost immediately as well. They caught Sydney Raw.
Bit off guard there.
Yeah, they did, but to be fair, it actually went back in Melbourne Order's favour there. But look, let's just say that they can't be caught pushing numbers forward like that, because Sydney Raw are going to keep asking questions. They're going to keep asking questions all game. It's important they do. And for this new roster, important that they find fusion early on, they gel.
Questions going to be asked against Sydney Raw as well here. Opening here for Jules, that's an easy goal. Just openings there through the defense of Sydney Raw.
Yeah, there's just a few too many
He's still got them on. He's still got them on. Oh boy, what a way to start.
Maybe it's a defense against other players that might be a little bit more flashy.
Maybe. Maybe you just need to block some of the lights up there on stage. But either way, Melbourne Order to a 2-1 start here. Only a minute's passed and a bit of an explosive game to kick things off now. In that player profile we saw before, Zen talking about his flashy plays. He catches players off guard. And for Sydney Raw, they're doing exactly that. Right in front of that net again. Opportunity goes awry, but the defense has to come strong from Sydney Raw.
And Sydney Raw at the moment, they're just having some trouble dealing with the ball that's floating around the back of their defensive quarter. So for them, it's important that they push forward, get that ball out, and just try and work some passing game. They haven't been able to string passes together just yet, and that's really important to get yourself into a match. There was always going to be question marks as to whether or not they could fill the shoes of the main roster. And they're certainly being asked those questions early on by Melbourne Order.
There's that 1-2-3 coming through from Melbourne Order, but across the field, Dumbo steals this ball away. Jules will react off that wall. Talendino, that's a great pass, but Delusion, Decker, just not ready for it. They'll send it through anyway. Delusion had that opportunity, but unfortunately, again, another one wasted. Zen, solo play. Was out playing with him last night there, Jim Nesso, and this looks a lot better from what I saw.
It wasn't the fact that you were his teammate.
No. I was playing better than Zen. Don't ever judge that. Whether that's sarcasm or not, I'll leave that up to. I'll leave that up to expectations.
We'll let our viewers decide.
Yeah. Melbourne Order. This ball's going through. Good steal by Decker.
That is a great reply. And this game is still deadlocked 2 apiece. And I think, for the most part, both these two teams have had their game thus far defined by some defensive calamities. It hasn't been the tight-knit defence that we've seen from them.
Very well said there, Jim Nesso. Sydney Raw, they find one through. And I think in terms of expectations of this matchup, there'd be a lot of people saying Melbourne Order should have this. It's not the main roster. But when Sydney Raw steal the ball away like that, then you have to start asking what Melbourne Order are up to here.
And now this is the thing too, you need to keep in mind, Delusion always jumps late for the ball. That's what I've noticed for him. He always seems to be in the contest, getting himself to that ball. Now he's actually made a change off the Batmobile to the Octane. And that's interesting for me because I haven't seen him I guess, utilise that car at all in my time spectating.
Speak a little bit of a change as Demolition there onto the back of Delusion. That was the 3rd member coming up for Sydney Raw. Melbourne Order might be able to breach that set defence, but good committance there from Decker. Talendino's up for it as well off the back ball. The 3rd member, the punch. Delusion gets blocked by Dumbo.
They need to deal with that ball again. Great pressure coming through from Zen, and this is where Sydney Raw have struggled somewhat. It's just clearing that ball out, getting some passing game going. No defensive passes thus far. They're just working on clearing it and then building from there. They haven't been able to maintain that, but that is close. Decker nearly puts that one in back of the net. And this is that period of the game where Melbourne Order could be tested.
Good starting game, though, from Sydney Raw. And speaking of testing, you test this draft roster. And expectation, again, the word we're going to use, steal away. That's how goals are getting scored in this series.
And my again. Dumbo, he's back to prove a point, and they needed to deal with that ball. They can't let it bounce like that. particularly on the path for someone like Dumbo, who has a great instinct in front of goal.
I think we're going to be talking about this game one in the rest of the series quite a lot. It feels like it's going too back and forth for my liking. Sydney Raw managing to hold this pace, but Melbourne Order, again, defensive mistakes from both sides, so you can't really, take the compliment away from anyone. But right now, 3 apiece, 1 minute 30, and the steals, the intercepts here seem to be a big part of it.
And I mean, in terms of the way that they're playing too, it's not really, I guess, a passing game. It's very individual and a lot of capitalisation on mistakes as well. So
Like
again,
that.
another goal.
Just the steal through. I hope the crowd are as confused as I am right now because it is so back and forth, and a lot of the time, Delusion taking these aggressive plays. I think just then, Dumbo unfortunately couldn't block that one. A 4-3 start here for Sydney Raw. We'll jump straight back in. A minute 15 remain.
And I think for the moment, the teams have just thrown defence out the window. They want to work on their attacking game. They want to work on that passing and going forward and putting pressure on. And there we go again.
But what a save there from Jules as well.
And that needed to be, because that would have been Sydney Raw streaking away to a 5-3 lead. And important that Melbourne Order continue to maintain pressure here. Just try and hold that ball up in the midfield and build from there. They have committed numbers forward, and they do have their rotations starting to work their way out. But, I mean, they can't afford to make another mistake. They can't afford to let Sydney Raw get that next goal.
Because it was a dangerous clear from Delusion, but helped up the field. Sydney Raw playing with time here, and they can definitely do that. Melbourne Order, the pass is wide. Zen reacts. Order need to punch this ball. It's Jules again off that backboard. Dumbo's coming in. There's the angle, perfectly placed.
And there we go. That is finally some pressure paying dividends. Great work from Jules there just to push that into the backboard. And Dumbo, every time, he's going to make you pay.
So obviously there's no issue with the glasses and seeing things because it looks like the ball was right on target. But 29 seconds are going to showcase how impactful Jules is right now. Looks like he's setting up Dumbo, setting up Zen. From the side, Dumbo gets blocked once more, and that attack continues to be quite impressive from Melbourne Order, but they have to be careful of these clears.
They do need to be very careful of these clears, and particularly infield passes directed like that, because they have been what's causing them the bulk of trouble. Looks like we might have some overtime in our first game of the Gfinity Elite Series Season 2, presented by Alienware. Unless something happens here, which can happen in OCE, keep you up.
Right there, Talandina almost fakes it away, doesn't find the bump or the demolition. Decker against the wall. This one's going to hit right back down as Order would like an overtime for game number 1. Thank you very much.
And hopefully it's not going to be a mistake that decides this match number 1, because both these two teams have really worked themselves into it. Yes, a lot of the match was early on pressure, early on mistakes, not really clearing that ball in front of goal. Hopefully they can start to string some passes together.
Delusion.
That was close.
Yeah, too close for comfort maybe for Sydney Raw. The attack's not over just yet. Melbourne Order are still positioning nicely. Decker and Talandina. Easy defense comes through, but 20 seconds in Order. They've got enough boost to play with here. The clear finally comes through from Talandina, who looks like he's having a ripper of a series. Decker over the top. This is great for Sydney Raw. The attack's there. Dumbo doesn't find the clear, but Zen will help out. Melbourne Order live to see another day. Let's see how they translate this one.
Jules just looking to see what the next phase of play could have been. Didn't quite connect that pass, but Dumbo, he did enough there.
Oh, there we go. The pop-up from Sydney Raw. That'll do it for game 1, and Melbourne Order, not the start they wanted, but Sydney Raw are going to be happy with that.
Great awareness from Decker too, to just pop that ball into the path of his teammate. And they take game 1. It was a messy start for both these two teams.
Wasn't it just?
And you can see them just working out the nerves and working through their team play. But there was, I guess, a few key moments there where, you know, the tussle was won, but it all came down to that overtime goal, didn't it?
But wasn't it? Messy's a great word for it. Zen agrees, surely, but let's jump into this replay, because I want to see how that happened, Jim. You're going to walk me through it as well.
Well, I mean, Decker here, the awareness from him to just pop that ball into the back of the wall. His teammate was waiting. They had numbers committed forward, and in that sort of situation, if he doesn't nail that, you can be hit on the counter quite quickly, because Talandina was also up as well. So it was a dangerous moment. They made it count. Sydney Raw have got themselves the first match. And I mean, Melbourne Order, they looked like they were getting away in that match.
Away with it.
They were. They looked like they were getting away with it. And as we said, it was super messy, but they came away with the victory.
And on that note as well, Sydney Raw have an opportunity here to get the main roster ahead. Order is a must-win, but we'll find out. We're going to take a short break. When we return, game number 2 of Sydney Raw taking on Melbourne Order. And welcome back to the Gfinity Elite Series for Rocket League. My name's Asterix. This is Jim Nesso. You just saw Game 1. We gave you a bit of a teaser of things to come here in the Elite Series, and we're about to get into Game 2. But before we do, it is time to reward you for sticking around. All you have to do is head to incentloyalty.com and use the drop code for your screen, GGOLD, to earn some currency, of course, with Incent. You've only got a limited time to go to the website, enter the drop code, and get paid. Luke says it so much better. So what are you waiting for? Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to jump into game number 2, and Jim Nesso, I'm excited here because this is already an upset in my mind in the making.
Oh, well, I mean, in terms of the way that they started, both these two teams, you could see they had very, very shaky starts, but the way they're going to build themselves into it is hopefully by playing it cool, calm, and collected, and just...
Very much like Tom Cruise there, yeah.
Deflecting some of the shade.
Well, I think at this point in game number 2, Melbourne Order, they're going to have to bring that pace, that game that they love so much, and couple of issues early on, but in game 2, let's find out if Melbourne Order can take one over Sydney Raw, bring us a full-fledged series, or if Sydney Raw just look to be in form.
I guess we'll all find out now in game number 2. As we said, it's a bit of a touchy-feely stage in that game number 1. Both these two teams just finding their feet and early pressure in front of goal. They're actually all members of Sydney Raw just sitting behind the ball, just hoping that they can get that away. The problem with this is when you sit all members behind the ball, there's only so much boost to go around, so they hopefully can find a clearance there, a gap and a reprieve in the attack of Melbourne Order. But Melbourne Order, if they can maintain pressure, they might be able to get themselves away to an early start.
Order, they've been sticking on the attack here. And 30, 40-second blocks, Sydney Raw get a clear, and they turn the tides. But right now, it looks like Melbourne Order setting up that attack again. The steal, the block from Talentina. Good defense coming out from Sydney Raw once again.
Great covering defense too, because he already had a teammate up for that challenge. Talandina read that much better than his teammate. And again, Talandina just pushes that away. So Sydney Raw, despite getting that early match in this best of 5, they still have some work to do.
Pinch out of the side, Jules will just send it back up. The double touch is down. Talandina saves it away once again. Blocks Zen again. Decker will just get it out of there. Sydney Raw holding on, but Melbourne Order, they've put the pace once again in the favour of themselves. Up on that defensive side, but Delusion will have an opportunity blocked by Dumbo.
Oh, again, the longer it just lingers in front of goal, the more danger is present. But you can see finally Melbourne Order actually released himself there. Unfortunately, the connecting ball wasn't quite coming through. There needed to be a pass. It wasn't done. Decker now runs away with it and just looking for that pass, that cross into the middle. Jules, great push away there. It actually relieves a lot of pressure on the team, but you can see the rotations they've come through, and that ball is just sitting in limbo again with Melbourne Order, hopefully looking to string some passing play together.
Sydney Raw definitely finding their feet here in game number 2 as well. After the momentum of game 1, defense still holding out. Now through the midfield, Decker's been demoed, but does it mean anything? Order actually the defense left to Zen. However, with the bounce through and Delusion coming in, he'll find the sinker. And Sydney Raw off to their beautiful start.
Just a few errors in the lead up to that as well. Zen did the best he could, but unfortunately, he could only do so much as that ball still sat in front of goal. And it was only a matter of time before someone like Delusion, with such great mechanical ability, was going to put that away.
Both teams on the attack here look fantastic. Both teams on the defense, sometimes it just doesn't add up. And this feels like another one of those games. Decker directly on target there with another shot. 2 minutes 50 remaining, a goal, again, momentum carries.
It was a very direct approach too from Sydney Raw, just asking questions almost immediately from the get-go.
Yep.
And again, just looking to put pressure on. And the thing about playing direct is you always have Melbourne Order keeping someone covering goal, keeping that in the back of their mind. They can't be too, I guess, committed to pushing forward.
The ankle.
That is a great goal from Decker.
Remember, this is Decker's first LAN. Decker is the rookie in this squad. And Sydney Raw, even though, yes, technically they're rookies due to their main roster being overseas, but that's not the story here. It's about their performance. And Decker, not really as many nerves as you'd expect, considering that he has Zen and Dumbo behind him, both in their own right champions of the Gfinity Elite Series, with Zen creating the upset, Dumbo taking out Season 1 with the old Order roster. Decker is filling his part. Excuse me. Sydney Raw on the other side. Talandina's been here before. There's Zen to strike through from Melbourne Order.
That ball just smashing off the top of the roof and straight to the path of Zen. Great work from Jules here just to pop that up. Zen read that so well. Talandina had to get there, couldn't quite in the end. Zen had that speed on ball and he met it first.
And he looks a little bit frustrated as well. I think they were expecting to be in a better position. Just to recap on what I was saying there for Sydney Raw, Talandina's been in this position. Delusion as well, excuse me. And Decker's performing well, but Can they hold this one goal? Talentina comes through with a steal. There it is again. But Dumbo, the saviour medal well deserved. With 2 minutes left remaining, they'll turn this onto the attack. Send the solo play. He set it up nicely for Jules. And Melbourne Order, piece by piece, they bring it back.
And Zen just weaving his way through the defense there. And, I mean, that's a fantastic way to set your team up. Jules, again, just with the finishing blow. Cool, calm, collected. And behind those shades is someone that is quietly confident too.
Do you reckon, of course, if people don't know, on a team with CJ, who we'll see in a couple of weeks' time after he comes back from the World Championship, I think he's, trying to live up to the hype, trying to live up to the expectations of his ex-teammate. And so far, Melbourne Order might be the glasses, might be something else, but they've managed to bring this one back. Good pass to the centre. Jules will block it away again. But Sydney Raw putting on the pain and the speed to match Melbourne Order.
Now Melbourne Order's turn to just try and mount something in attack, and they need to find these passes, but they haven't been able to do so thus far. Sydney Raw certainly have a little bit more momentum behind them at times. At Melbourne Order, despite being, I guess, a more complete outfit because they are the main roster for their team, they're not really looking the part. Sydney Raw have really done a lot to build themselves into this match, and if they can maintain pressure, they might be able to just pull an upset here over Melbourne Order.
Definitely waiting for it with Raw and Order. Again, Dumbo takes the shot. Special Gfinity unit coming on the case.
Oh, your intent was criminal there, Jake.
It was. 50 seconds remaining, though. It's 2 apiece. This is slow dribbles through the enemy defense, and Raw can't find the clean cross. It's back over to Delusion. Will hit the wall. Decker goes wide. It's just going to give Order the clear and maybe a bit of time to work with. Talandina, touch to the side. Delusion. Do we go to overtime again? Jules almost saying no there. Zen will miss the ball. This is an opportunity. That net for Decker won't work out.
Dumbo had to scramble to get back in defense and just push that to the side. He's bought his team time. It allowed them to get more players behind the ball and try and push that forward. But again, Sydney Raw just trying to deal with the pressure that's being put onto that backboard. As
Zen's up. Talandina's there. Dumbo again. Overtime still here, but Order is just going to let that ball drop. 2 overtimes. What more could you ask for?
These two teams are very, very close in the way that they're playing. Obviously, that's shown on the scoreboard in the way that these matches have conducted themselves thus far. But there has to be a moment where one of these two teams will break away and win the match. It's got a goal overtime, so as we saw before, next one to score will that win next to their name.
Well, there's no clear there, though, Jim Nesso. It's set up by Jules, then sails past it. Sydney Raw going to be very thankful for that as well. Big clear from Talandina. He'll follow it up with Decker, who just gets bumped out of the way. Collision course for Talandina. He'll find that demo. It means Zen's out of the pitch. It means Delusion can set up off the backboard, but Jules with a boomer of a clear off of it. We'll just give Zen more momentum there. Talandina fifth. Zen finds the ball sailing through, and you hate to see it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a mistake like that has cost a goal, and it was a long-range effort.
Wasn't up in time.
You could see that the direct approach from these two teams has actually worked because there's been momentary lapses in defense, and that's cost teams goals so far in this series.
And Sydney Raw, they're still taking it to overtime, so I'm glad we have a 1-for-1. I'm glad Delusion makes funny faces every time we look at him, but I'm also glad that we have a bit of a series on our hand for our first series of the Gfinity Elite Series, season number 2.
That's right, it's a tightly contested match. And look, this was the moment. I mean, it was a real to and fro battle between the two teams, but this overtime goal was the defining moment that separated them in the series. They go back to 1-1 in terms of the best of 5. So both these two teams now are playing effectively what is a best of 3. So they've reset themselves somewhat. The ledger has been squared in that regard.
It was unfortunate. You know, Talandina couldn't get up in time. It was a bit of a struggle. But I mean, Zen just thinks that he knows that the defense is all the way up. So there's props again to Melbourne Order, who seem to have brought this one back.
They have, and look, they need more passing play. I think that's probably the main point to stress here is the fact that they still have not got their passing game on point. If we see that, that is where they're going to find, I guess, more chemistry and hopefully come away with the win.
Well, it's a 1-for-1. Sydney Raw, they've lost that one, but Order have evened up. We're going to throw it back to the desk. And Luke, of course, to take us through that.
Two very evenly matched teams going head-to-head. They're exciting stuff for Season 2. It's right now, though, it's time to go behind the scenes to see how our teams prepare backstage. It's Dare Drink It Through time. Ash is back there with Perth Ground Zero players who are limbering up for their battle with the Sydney Chiefs. Over to you, Ash.
Drink it through with Dare iced coffee.
Hey, Luke. Yeah, I'm trying to find the Ground Zero players, but just found some of the other guys here doing some warm-ups. I'll see if I can find the guys out the back here. Maybe they'll be in the green room or something. Hey, guys, what's happening here? Just having a bit of fun. Looks good. Hey, Lim, how are you?
Good, thank you. Yourself?
Very well, thank you. So you were playing with the Chiefs on Season 1. What about Season 2? You guys, you're with Ground Zero. How does that feel? Are you excited?
Yeah, it's great. We're playing under Ground Zero this season. A fantastic org, and we're excited to get into it.
So what are you bringing from Season 1 into Season 2? Is there anything you're really hoping to focus on this time round?
We're really just hoping to focus on experience. Myself and Ghost have been here last season, so we can hopefully utilise that this season.
Well, you're up against the Chiefs. They're your first match of this entire season coming up soon. Do you feel confident going in?
Yeah, definitely. We've been practicing a lot before this tournament, so hopefully we can show that.
Awesome. It looks like you guys were having a lot of fun here. Do you mind before we go if I have a go? Of course. Oh, awesome. Thank you. All right, let's see how it goes. Yeah. Woo! Thanks, guys. Speak to you soon.
Drink it through with Dare iced coffee.
Sunday is Rocket League Day.
3 versus 3.
Best of the best.
End-to-end action.
How good is it?
You gotta love your Rocket League.
Take the shot.
Goal! Come on.
Wait. I'm sorry. That threw me.
Stick around. Don't touch that remote. Back with more Rocket League in a moment.
Welcome back to the Hoist Gfinity Esports Arena, the entertainment quarter in Sydney. Right now, it is one game apiece for Melbourne Order and Sydney Raw. We are seeing some awesome gameplay in the opening match of Rocket League Season 2. If you would like to join our live audience, we'd love to have you every weekend. We're right here. You can grab your tickets at hoyts.com.au/Gfinity. So come on down. Right now, it's time to send it back to our casters, Jake and Jim, for Game 3. Over to you, fellas.
He's just a gem, isn't he, Jim Nasso? Thank you so much for welcoming us back. It's Game 3, and it's one apiece. Again, what more could you ask for here in the Elite Series?
Well, I mean, in terms of the gameplay, we've seen both these two teams have a rough time in establishing themselves, but they're just starting to get into the swing of things. Hopefully Game 3 is a lot cleaner in both these two teams. You can see there was just the emergence of some passing play, which has set them apart. Less individual mistakes, though they were still creeping in. I think there's going to be a phase where they're just getting used to the big stage. They're just getting used to the occasion.
Let's do it.
Let's bring out the best.
Let's jump on to Game 3. Sydney Raw, Melbourne Order, again, equalised here. And in Game 3, we'll have a defining leader. See if that can be maintained. Games have been close, 2 overtimes in a row. And I'm looking for a third.
And Dumbo puts that into the net. Or should I say the wall, as he does try to follow it up out. As we said, the two teams, hasn't been a huge emphasis on passing play. There's been some very direct routes towards goal, which have paid dividends. It's kept both two teams on their toes defensively. You can see there, just a question asked, meant Melbourne Order has to scramble, but Decker looking for his teammate Delusion, couldn't quite find it. And again, just a period of pressure that Melbourne Order have to absorb.
Sydney Raw started off in this game, though. That is what is important, but the steal away from Dumbo almost slips past that said defense. Zen will drop it down to Jules. Defense from Melbourne Order, it's where they're sticking right now. Only minutes past, and it's been possession game by Sydney Raw. Over the top. Zen drops it down. Decker, this is an opportunity. The shot there from Delusion will be a bounce. There's only one defender there. Talendina needs to make sure he gets it through, but Melbourne Order, they've just taken back control. Decker's here. Doesn't get much pace on the ball. Sydney Raw, again.
Say Jules was so patient, they're just waiting for a mistake.
Yeah.
To see if he could capitalise on it and just punish them for not getting that ball away soon enough. But you can see there.
Oh, the Zen wasn't really too good, but hey, great for Sydney Raw.
Yeah, you can see Zen just actually had to make a readjustment there, and unfortunately the ball just bobbled on the top of his car. Talendina put the pressure right on, and over the top, they find that opening. Sydney Raw 1-0.
I think I saw Talendina's hands going in like, oh, now it's done. But Sydney Raw, that first goal again. Melbourne Order, the pressure continues to collapse on them. Dumbo, this is a good pass over to Jules. Infield means it just goes to the right wing, and Zen again. The cross. Dumbo's not there, but this is an opportunity for Sydney Raw. Right down the middle. Jules finds the clear away and readies it up for Zen, who's going to take the solo play once more. The dribble down. Very Zen-esque, but Dumbo with the pass sets it up for Jules. Infield perfectly.
That is a great passage of play there. You can see Zen just set it up. He actually committed 2 defenders to that as well. And Talendina, whilst he tried to get in, couldn't quite meet that ball whatsoever. So great work from Zen in the initial setup, but it was the passing play that Melbourne Order put together that decided that moment.
We've had very close games here so far at the Elite Series, and again, just praised to be here after such a close one to start us off. That defense holds pretty easily there from Melbourne Order. 3 minutes left remaining. Jules off the wall. The defense again needs to come through from Sydney Raw, and it does. Decker clears it away massively. Melbourne Order stuck on the defense now for a little bit, but Dumbo tries to change that, pops it through that goal square, peppered a little bit. Decker steals it, but no one there to reciprocate.
Melbourne Order get themselves just a momentary reprieve from the pressure that Sydney Raw had put.
Close ball.
But they need to get rid of this ball, Jake. They can't let it linger in front of goal. And with people like Jules and Zen just loitering around that goal mouth, there's always...
Loitering's a good word for it there, Jim Nasso. And Jules
always
showing us exactly what you meant there. Dumbo over to Talendina. There's an opportunity for Zen, but you can see Melbourne Order sitting on this attack. Great infield pass against Dumbo. It'll hit the crossbar. Back down, says Delusion. Another saviour medal to be had here from Sydney Raw. They survive, but Dumbo getting the intercept. We'll get Demolition. See what else can be done. Another demo, this time onto Delusion.
I'm still baffled how Delusion found that angle to keep that ball out. That was a great work from him defensively. So he keeps Sydney Raw from going down.
Good bump
another goal.
Decker comes Jules.
This game's just had a bit of rough and tumble injected into it.
It has. Talendina. He found another. Now, I have to say, this series alone, Talendina has been making short work of Melbourne Order, and it speaks volumes to this player, considering that last season he came through as, you know, again, the draftee. This time, he's in the spotlight.
And I think just for that moment too, he earned it. He did have that deciding mistake go against him in game number 2. Now in game number 3, he's been so much more proactive in making amends for it, and I think that's a sign of positivity, a sign of growth and development as a player. But here's some passing play looking for Sydney Raw to connect, but they can't quite find that pass to Decker. Melbourne Order clear that ball, and they need to build.
Talendina, the passes to Delusion. Won't find too much here from around the corner. Dumbo and Zen hold the defense themselves, but Talendina stops the passage of play. Eventually gets through to Sydney Raw's defense, but that 1-goal lead is still there. Delusion taking it the length of the field. Zen halts. Sydney Raw halt. 50 seconds remaining here, and Melbourne Order from the corner. The bounce will be there. Jules can't find too much. But again, Melbourne Order, this is their opportunity. Sydney Raw find it clear once more and closer to taking that 1-game lead.
Unless Melbourne Order can find a reply here in the last 30 seconds. They need to get themselves out, start building some pressure, and that's a good way to do it. Just keep that ball on the backboard. If they can keep it there, they can put Sydney Raw under pressure, but they've run away with it now, Sydney Raw, and the best form of defense is attack.
Dumbo with the touch. Talendina's here, 15 seconds remaining. Jules clears it away, but Melbourne Order need more than that. They need to find a play off this defense. Zen will come through for the clear. Jules is here as well. The bounce is great, but Dumbo sets it up nicely. Jules comes in. We might not have an overtime here for game number 3. Sydney Raw still on the defense. Zen comes in. Jules almost slips one behind Decker, but good passage of play again. And Sydney Raw, that'll hit. They take it to match point. And again, expectations being thrown around here in our first series.
And I think from Sydney Raw's perspective, they'll be happy with that. There was a period of pressure from Melbourne Order, which they managed to absorb. Melbourne Order will be disappointed they didn't convert some chances there into goals, particularly that save from Delusion. How he kept that ball out of the net, I'm still not sure. That'll be, I guess, a question for the replays if they're going to go through them later on and see exactly how they kept themselves in that match. But as we could see, game 3 was again a very close affair.
I think we saw this with the when we had our draftees for Sydney Chiefs. When Talendina was on that roster for season number 1, we saw a 3-2. Was it against Raw? I think it might have been the Sydney versus Sydney matchup to open up.
The opening weekend as well.
It was a 3-2. It was the very first game. And again, it feels like we have a very close affair. Sydney Raw just seem to be on top of their game here, and it feels like it's coming off the back of Talendina, who is just having a showcase match.
Well, I mean, as I said before, he had a mistake in game number 2, and it cost him the game. But he's built himself back into it.
You have to focus on the negatives, Jim. You know?
Build it into a positive, and that's exactly what he did in game 3.
Good
He's
signs.
turned himself around, and right now he's put his team in the driver's seat because that next game win, will win them the series.
Match point. You've got comfort. Things are looking peachy here for our Sydney Raw, and again, the draft is what we were talking about, how these players are filling in gaps, but we want them to be so much more. They're against the main roster of Order, the defending champions of Season 1. And if Order take a loss here in the very first series, then you have to say things are shaking up here in the Gfinity Elite Series itself. Sydney Raw, match point, game number 4, bring it on.
And we are very happy to be on free-to-air television once again for Season 2. And it is very, very peachy too, might I add, but
I beat you to it, Jim, and I know you're upset about that.
I know.
But it's okay. We'll have plenty of opportunities. Speaking of which, Sydney Raw, they almost find one off the bat. Zen, the solo play is his. Talendina will just block it. Jules, can he do anything with this? Seems like no.
And again, these two teams just trying to set themselves up as that ball falls now into the midfield, contested by Talendina. And looking to connect some passes once again. Sydney Raw have been playing very direct, and it's worked for them. But Melbourne Order are going to keep asking some questions. The Demolition's there in the midfield. You can see these two teams are playing a little bit faster, a little bit more direct. And those Demolitions are certainly a signal of intent.
Clear off the side, Decker. He received that infield pass, but he couldn't do too much with it. Demolition onto Zen once more, so this will keep Sydney Raw safe for now, but Dumbo keeps the play going. Decker up for the ball from the corner. It'll bounce down. That's perfect positioning. Ooh. Delusion commits. Sydney Raw, is this the start of something great here in week number 1?
And it was the start of something great with Delusion's little defensive pop-up as well. That released Decker, and then back into Delusion again. That ball fell so nicely for him, and he doesn't make any mistakes. We said he was perfect mechanically in terms of his Season 1. He switched cars to the Octane, and I dare say he's looking just as good.
And we have so many different dynamics here in Season 2, so many roster changes. Zen coming from AV when they created the upset against the Chiefs. You got Jules, who's entering the first Elite Series for him. And then on the other side, Dumbo, returning champion here of the original Order roster. This team mashed up. It's an interesting mix, but right now against Sydney Raw, it's not doing too much. 3 minutes 30, that goal. Comfortability again comes into the picture for Raw, but this pass through, Jules strikes true. Again, right into the heart of that net.
And you just see that Melbourne Order are a little bit shaky defensively. They've committed numbers forward for that goal, and they've been punished for it as well. Decker just playing super direct. All three from Melbourne Order. That infield pass from Zen didn't find its mark, and it was intercepted straight away. Because they've got so many numbers forward, they had nothing to scramble back in defence.
2 goals, Sydney Raw. Each and every game they look better and better. They had game number 2 to reflect upon, and it looks so great. Decker, he won't even take the shot here. He'll drop it in front of Jules, and that's again, they've got time to play with, and they're playing with it well.
Delusion. Just looking again to connect with his teammates, find some passing play. That combination of Decker and Delusion, they played together before, and you can see that they've got that synergy. They understand each other. They understand where that pass needs to be and who needs to follow it on. And that has given them the edge here as Decker finds the back of the net again, but Talendino this time, the connector between the two.
He loves this wall. Decker, I assume he's a big Spider-Man fan because he's hitting these shots each and every time with precision. Sydney Raw 3-0 and Melbourne Order, the defending champions, a bit of strife here in game number 4. Things aren't looking too good, but if you're a Sydney Raw fan right now, this is the perfect start to the season.
It is the perfect start to the season. We had question marks over them because they had some big shoes to fill. And waiting the return of Express and Shady, who are overseas at the World Championships right now. And will return to hopefully pick up where this Sydney Raw roster left off. And Zen, he finds a reply. But they need to be the next ones to score to try and build themselves some momentum here.
Not out of this just yet, Gymnasto. Not out of this just yet. 2 goals. Melbourne Order can bring this back. I'd like to see a Game 5. Everyone would like to see a Game 5. It is in our nature to want more. It is not greed. It is merely what we deserve. But Melbourne Order are going to have to step up to the plate. Less and less time remaining. See what Jules can do down here and see what the attack of Melbourne Order. Great infield pass from Dumbo, but Zen, unfortunately, just not in position.
Now Decker looking for a pass, but Delusion's the only one in defence. He does beat out Jules. Critical that he needed to because that was potentially an open net.
Good collapse from Zen as well. Dumbo the pass down to Jules off the wall. Melbourne Order, minute 45. Really, they need to do something with this ball. Attack just isn't stringing along, and Zen loses the ball once again. Talendin plays off that wall. There'll be a clear necessary here for Melbourne Order, but it's just Jules onto Delusion. The second touch sets it up. Zen's there, but Dumbo reaches first. Zen now the final hit. But Melbourne Order stuck in the midfield, can't get out. And Sydney Raw still looking as comfortable. Will they find it off this? Jules, great pass down, but no one commits forward from Melbourne Order. And Sydney Raw have just been given the ball back into their reach.
Yeah, I was hoping Dumbo could get something on that and just put the finishing touch on what was a great pass from Jules. Couldn't be. Jules again is looking to work hard and release his teammates. Can't quite find that ball for now. Sydney Raw. This ball is in Melbourne Order's court, and that miss could potentially mean that Talendina finds a pass into the middle.
Ooh, close call again. If Sydney Raw get this next goal, it's a sealed deal, but right now it looks like it anyway. Remember, Sydney Raw, they're the squad that are bringing in a brand new player in CJ. Now, we haven't seen him in the Elite Series, but we've seen him elsewhere, and they're making it look like it's a perfect throw for him right now. Sydney Raw, 4 goals to 1. Doesn't look like there's enough time here, and the Raw a team that struggled in Season 1 is finally here to play.
And Zen, he had to deal with that backboard pressure. He had to put that ball away. Unfortunately, he put it straight into the path of Sydney Roar when he tried to clear it, and that has resulted in a goal. You can just see Sydney Roar are really starting to find their groove, and they do have the difficult task of setting up the team for the season. And when they return the Shady and Express combo, the champions from last season, they are going to be some very, very stiff opposition for the rest of the Gfinity Elite Series.
They don't get their revenge or friend matchup versing Dumbo, as it is the first week, but we'll see if there's a rematch. Remember, the roster swaps have changed everything here in the Elite Series for season number 2, but as we come to a close here in our very first series, Sydney Roar, they lead the charge for the home crowd, 3-1. What a performance here.
It was such a clean performance in that last game. They finally found the momentum.
What a good song, by the way, Jim. I heard you had some influence in picking this song as well.
Oh, look, I may have given it the yes vote.
Good.
When it counted.
It's a great song, but you're right. This is going to set them up nicely. Week 1, a Sydney Roar win here is just perfect.
That's right. We're going to take a look at some of the highlights from the game as well, Game 4. Now, this was a better performance from Sydney Roar, I must admit. Melbourne Order have got to be disappointed with how they dealt with some of this pressure from Sydney Roar. The way that they were passing that Decker Delusion combo, they got going, and I mean, you could see there that they were just perhaps pushing too hard for a goal when they didn't need to.
Yeah.
And that's cost them.
And I think right here, it's kind of a testament to the growing players in the scene. The Sydney Roar were a team that, oh, by the way, if you check predictions, I'm the only one who went for Sydney Roar. I just had to drop that. And I will every single time. Because it's good expecting something like this, an upset, you know, bringing the pain to week number 1. Sydney Roar have outdone themselves here. And I think it's a good moment to be proud and say that our growing players here, Jim Nesso, have set up this first series. But a 3-1 for Sydney Roar. A big congratulations. We're going to throw it back to the desk for the analysis of that first series.
Huge first match, pretty big upset, wasn't it, Dave? It's not what you were expecting, yeah?
I mean, Order are the established team here. They shouldn't be losing. They've got the experience. They've played together for a long time. But Sydney Roar, they played better. They had way more teamwork, and they punished Order every time they overcommitted on attack.
Really exciting stuff to see what's coming up this season. I mean, do you think this is promising signs for Sydney Roar? Take it all the way.
Well, for Sydney Roar, this isn't even their core lineup. They're bringing their draftees in and expecting that maybe they'd have to make up for that later in the season. This is huge for Sydney Roar. They may be the favourites coming into the season. Well, now they are almost certainly the favourites to head at the top of the end of league play. At the end of this round robin, they'll be advantaged and have the chance to really take out the season.
Exciting stuff. Well, right now we're going to cross over to Ash, who's chatting with Delusion from Sydney Roar. Feeling pretty good, I reckon. Hey, Ash?
Yeah, Delusion, that's a fantastic first start of this season. You guys have secured your first win already. Is there anything that you're most proud of in that match that you just saw then?
We were intercepting really well that match. Order, obviously, traditionally, they're the better team than us. We're like drafty players coming in, so I'm really proud of how we performed. We were just, I don't know, being unpredictable, I suppose, and it was really good.
So what do you think, in your opinion, maybe let Order down today? How did you, I guess, take that win from them?
I don't know, just weak clears out of defence mostly and just converting, I suppose. I don't know, it was a really weird game. Like, a lot of goals were just like weird 50s and like dunks and stuff, so heads up to them. Like, they didn't play bad. It was just a weird game, to be honest.
Yeah, it started off a little bit tight. Were you nervous at all with those tiebreakers?
There's less pressure on us since we're a draftee team coming in, so I guess we were nervous, but we just played, to be honest, and I guess it worked out.
Well, very well done today. Good luck for the rest of the season. I'll see you guys next week. And back to you, Luke.
Yeah, thanks very much. What a humble, cool dude. Yeah, give him a round of applause. All that's left to do for that match is announce our MVP for today's first match. Now, this season we have a new point system for our overall Astro Headsets MVP. Our analysts will give points for the best performers in each game. A tally will be kept, and at the end of the season, the player with the most points will win a fully sick prize from Astro, right? So it's over to David Lane to tell us about his MVP selections for the Week 1 clash we just saw between Roar and Order. Dave, who are you giving your points to for this match?
All of Sydney Roar played well. We saw Dumbo play and Jules have some big moments, but It had to go to Delusion. He was massive. He scored 7 goals, 6 saves. He was big throughout the entire, sorry, not 6 saves, 8 saves, 6 assists. He was part of almost every single goal. He was the biggest saver, had the most shots. He was ridiculous, and most importantly, that game 1 where it went into overtime, where it was 5-4, Delusion was massive. It was a critical game, and he was the one dunking over the competition to win in the series.
So exciting to see young players like this develop season to season, isn't it? Really keen to see more stuff from Delusion. He is our Astro Headsets MVP for the match between Raw and Order in Week 1. Lots more Rocket League action ahead. Sydney Chiefs and Perth Ground Zero are up next. You're watching the Gfinity Elite Series presented by Alienware. We'll see you soon.
We create machines that make every experience more intense and real. With Intel Core processors so powerful, you can redefine reality. Because the best feature of a gaming machine is the power to make you forget it's there.
Mr. Murray, have you decided on a name?
We're thinking Callum.
Calamari.
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 Let's make it Jack.
Drink it through with Dare iced coffee.
Like it's nothing. Come on, better kick it. Let's go. Good job, team. Good job.
Welcome Welcome back to the Gfinity Esports Arena. We are moments away from our second match between Sydney Chiefs and Perth. Ground zero. Before that, a reminder that Alienware is giving you the chance to win a brand new M15 laptop in Season 2 of the Gfinity Elite Series. It's the thinnest and lightest 15-inch Alienware gaming notebook ever. You can enter by sending through a selfie from the Alienware activation zone here at the arena, so get on down here. But that is just one of 9 ways you can enter the competition. For all of the other details, go to gfinityesports.com.au. Next up, we have another blockbuster between Sydney Chiefs and Perth. Ground zero. Yummy, let's get into the Chiefs lineup right now. I reckon they're going to be keen to make amends for that shock loss in the playoffs last season. What do they bring to the table today?
Well, they're not bringing their core lineup as well. They're off to the World Championship, trying to battle it out to be the best in the world. Meanwhile, we have an experienced roster. We've got Kia, who's been to the World Championship. We've got Change, who was here at the Gfinity Elite Series last season. And fan favourite Requiem. He's been part of the scene for a long time. And it's the first time he's ever been here at the live event, first time he's shown his face. So I'm actually excited to see how he goes.
Awesome stuff. Well, there are also a few changes at Perth Ground Zero since Season 1. Here is a look at their lineup that they're bringing today. Talk us through it, Yummy.
It is a good, solid lineup. We've got Ghost and Lim, who were big upcomers last season. They have a big chance to fight it out. Ghost as well. The chance to take down his Sydney Raw brethren that have come up. And Walcott, another rising player. All 3 of these teams, they could be really huge across the season. I'm expecting a lot of growth for them. And the fact that they don't have to verse the core lineup of the Chiefs right now is a big advantage throughout the season.
Well, let's get the teams out here right now and get into our next game. Let's give them a big hometown welcome. Go absolutely nuts for your Sydney Chiefs! And make some noise for their opponents today. Give it up for Perth Ground Zero! Live gameplay is coming up in just a moment, but first, here's what some of our Elite Series players had to say about Season 1 of Gfinity.
Gfinity Season 1 did a lot for their first season in Australia. It helped so many people. It was their first event, first LAN event. They never played in front of a crowd.
Being involved in the Series 1, I learned how to be comfortable in different environments and stuff, and I get to meet new players and stuff.
The viewership is great, just people coming together and watching Rocket League, what I'm passionate about.
I've seen a lot more new faces around because OCE is not exactly the biggest place. So when you start seeing new people, you know people have been reached for it.
Last Gfinity, I learned that teams are very beatable right now and that anybody can take down anybody.
Brought the community together. It's going to bring people together. The more it goes on, it's been great.
Mr. Murray, have you decided on a name?
We're thinking Callum.
Calamari.
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 Let's make it Jack.
Drink it through with Dare iced coffee.
3 days ago, Coda announced that Zero would join Cell 7 in the upcoming Soma Worlds tournament. After so many league victories, switching teams this close to the tournament appears to be a deliberate move to destroy Coda's chance at the title.
Welcome back to the Gfinity Elite Series. We are gearing up for our second Rocket League match of the day, brought to you by Astro Headsets and Dare Ice Coffee. We're on 10 Peach today. It's wonderful to be back on free-to-air television, if I can say it properly. Dave, before we get into this next match, who do you reckon is going to take it?
Well, there was a time where there's some people called Kia, the land carry, but that was so long ago I still had blacks, no greys left in my beard. So it's going to be Ground Zero taking this one out. Yeah.
Scoreline prediction?
Oh, it's going to be close, 3-2.
3-2 to Ground Zero. Let's get into the action right now. Match 2, Gfinity Elite Series, Chiefs versus Ground Zero. Over to you, Jake and Jim.
Thank you as always, Luke, and welcome back to our second series. Before we kick things off though, Jim, it's time to reward our viewers.
It is time to reward our viewers for sticking with the Gfinity Elite Series coverage. So make sure you head to the bottom of your screen there, gfinity.instantloyalty.com. Drop in the code.
G Stadium this time, by the way.
G Stadium.
I already got my bucks before.
It's only up for a limited time, so be quick. Make sure you enter that code.
Earn some currency, as simple as that. But we are going to move forward straight into our second series. It is Ground Zero, this time jumping to the stage all the way from Perth, even though some of them don't live in Perth. It's another Sydney matchup as well. And for the Sydney Chiefs, different roster. They're overseas as well. Let's see if they can do exactly what Sydney Raw just did.
Well, that's right. They have the tough task of trying to set the main roster up for the rest of the season. Tough opposition in Perth Ground Zero. Obviously, they're buoyed by the fact that they've had some good form recently as well. They're starting to find their stride.
Yep.
It's going to be a tough ask for Sydney Chiefs to get themselves underway here. But I guess we'll find out in those first games whether or not they're on point. It's always a test to see whether or not they can get their passing game early on. But let's just see how they fare.
Well, let's find out. Sydney Chiefs taking on Perth Ground Zero. Second series, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into it. And another Sydney team representing here on the stage. Requiem we haven't seen too much of. Change as well from last season, but Kia, eyes will be on him here to represent.
Very fast and direct approach there from Lim in the early stages as well. So keen to see whether or not Perth Ground Zero can maintain a fast pace in this match. Whether or not they can be quick to the ball as Walcott just looking for that infield pass. There's no one actually to meet it. They're all rotating back, and that's left things under pressure here in the back. And Requiem has completely punished them for leaving it open.
Requiem hasn't been on our stage just yet, but boy, what a kicker for him. Just the way you want to start, Chiefs. That first goal and momentum we were talking about before.
Let's see if Perth Ground Zero can just try and wrestle that back for a moment there. They've looked a little bit flustered as Sydney Chiefs got themselves off to a nice early start. And we find you during these first matches, usually teams are just finding their feet, trying to get that passing going, but also, more importantly, trying to gauge your opposition and how they can just counter their play and work them out.
A couple opportunities were missed there before. Perth Ground Zero gonna have to make sure they capitalise well. Limp across the field, but no one there to reciprocate. It'll be up to Ghost to hit the angle, but they're just swinging it past this goal square. A very different pace from our last series. Scoop from Requiem, who's got a very strange tag on at the moment. Key up, the angle's perfect. Second for the Chiefs.
And that is a great start there again. Perth Ground Zero not really dealing with that ball whatsoever. That pop into the corner, Kia straight on top of it. And they find themselves a nice 2-0 lead. A little bit of breathing space too.
For the Chiefs as well. You've got to remember that the Chiefs have been in good positions in the past. They were upset in the semi-finals of season number 1. But at the moment, we've got the draft roster again. We've got a very different roster. And when the Chiefs come back, they won't have Jake in. He's in the Deceptors. So Perth Ground Zero, they have an opportunity to start things off well here. Walcott over to Lim. Passing's good. This one to Ghost. It's wide. Unfortunately there for Ground Zero to recover the play. It's up to Walcott, but now it's just a clear. And Sydney Chiefs again. Requiem set it up nicely. Blocked away by Ghost, but Lim hardly any boost to get up and clear it away.
It's funny, you talk about setting the team up for the big season. Last season, season 1, it was Lim that was in the same position as these Chiefs players. He was playing for Chiefs in that draft roster, trying to set the main squad up for a good first season. He did a great job of it, but now the task is entirely his own as that touch from Requiem doesn't quite find a teammate, but it just reminds Perth Ground Zero that they need to keep their defensive lines clear.
Such aggressive play there has changed. Will find the clear. Lim doesn't find anything with it. There's no boost on change, but he still pinches it out to the other side of the field. The touchdown from Kia. And Requiem trying to play with this ball as well. Change. Right wing is his. A good touch there to centre. This is still in front of net. Requiem will eventually find it, but defense holds out until Kia comes through. Wow. He's everywhere.
That's great work from Requiem there, just locking that ball into the midfield and the pass to his teammate coming through. And that is a great goal. 3-0 gives them a little bit more breathing space. Kia just on the end of that one, and they're making this first game count, aren't they, Chiefs?
Well, 3-0, a perfect start here for the Chiefs. And it doesn't matter if it's their main roster or it looks like their draft or sub roster. They still perform in the early stages of competition, and that much is true here in game number 1. Change from the corner, sets it up nicely. This is great passing play from the Chiefs. Perth Ground Zero narrowly get it away, but Kia's got other plans. That second touch as well. Changes up for it. He'll miss it, which just opens up the net, but Ground Zero can't get anything on the ball. They leave it to Ghost. The pass is interrupted, collapsed upon, and the Chiefs have decided to interrupt the mechanics of Perth Ground Zero. They push it back down, and Ground Zero are back on that set defense.
They seem to be really struggling against the pressure that Chiefs are building at the moment, and it's important that I guess their attacking spurts and their ventures into their opposition's half last longer than that, because that is not giving them much breathing space whatsoever in defense. That transition back into defense has to be quick.
Oh, the bump from Lim. Hey. It's actually Sunday, but the first goal from Perth Ground Zero is a beauty. Look at Lim. Change has got bullied around like he was 13. It was unfair.
Unfortunately, Change has been knocked out of the way. He's had his lunch money taken, and Perth Ground Zero find themselves a goal back. But there's still some work to do. As we said, they've been under pressure for a lot of this game, and it's only just that they're getting themselves forward. And they're going to ask another question.
Walcott. Okay, so Perth Ground Zero in the start of this game 1, they didn't have much to say, and then suddenly the solo plays start coming out. Suddenly, moments like this appear on our screen. So Ground Zero, a minute, 1 goal, very reasonable. Very, very reasonable.
A nice easy recovery there for Walcott too, after he contested that ball and just popped it into the back of the net. Perth Ground Zero, how quickly things can change.
Sydney Chiefs can't let down their guard. Then we'll come through for the intercept. Bit of a collision course once again from Perth Ground Zero. Walcott keeps it around the midfield. Kia actually the only one back in defense. Requiem not going to commit for it. Kia actually goes past it as well. Change is not in the right direction. This has been set up for Lim. Lim will come down, collapse upon that net, but Kia sweeps it through. There's quick defense there from the Chiefs. And maybe that's all they needed. 35 seconds remaining here. Lim under the ball. Ghost on top of the ball. Lim underneath the net. And Ghost on top of it again and again. Perth Ground Zero peppering this net. Ready to set up their equaliser. But 20 seconds to go. And time may have run short.
That was great work from Chiefs as well. After that that save from Change was made, it was cleared quickly.
Oh, Walcott, the backboard's touch there. Lim comes through. A well-deserved goal, but the defense holds out. Change will silence the play. And like that, the silencing of game 1 as well.
And for a moment there, it was hearts in mouths as Perth Ground Zero took it to Chiefs in that last few seconds, but they had to commit numbers forward, and when you commit numbers forward, you take a big risk defensively, and they got punished for it.
What great attack, though, coming through from Perth Ground Zero. So this is going to be an interesting series, Jim Nesso. I was starting to think that there'd be nothing of it as Ghost almost finds that kickoff goal, and looking forward to more of those, but game 1 for the Chiefs. A flying start for them, but almost silenced by our Perth Ground Zero.
Well, I think for Perth Ground Zero, they have to take the positive out of that match. They were able to get themselves a few goals quickly, and once they started stringing things together, they looked good.
Off the back of bumps and demolitions.
Exactly, and they were a little bit more aggressive in their play, and that's really what set Chiefs off their game a little bit. They weren't as passive in their play, but you could see they got off to a great start, Sydney Chiefs. They really punished Perth Ground Zero. They maintained pressure, a lot of pressure, and Perth Ground Zero didn't deal with it well.
And it felt like as soon as Chiefs started getting some of the goals, more defensive, happy to play back and give the room to Perth Ground Zero, which seems like it could be a mistake. Ground Zero with the room to breathe. they started switching on, as you're about to see here.
And this was a great little bump from Lin there that enabled that to happen. He just completely took out the defender. There was no one back. And Walcott there with that nice recovery, just popping it over the last defender. And they get themselves back in 3-2. And they had about a minute to get themselves back into the game, but it couldn't be done. Chiefs finishing what they started.
I got to say, though, for Perth Ground Zero, this is the start of many things to come. Game 1, it's only one game. And like Order, the fight back in Game 2, the potential that they have. We're going to see that exact potential after this very short break.
Mr. Murray, have you decided on a name?
We're thinking Callum.
Callum Murray.
Callum Murray.
Calamari.
Let's make it Jack.
Drink it through with Dare iced coffee.
You're watching the Gfinity Elite Series presented by Alienware. Now, if you would like to join our live audience each weekend, because we have a whole lot of fun, you can grab your tickets on hoyts.com.au/Gfinity. Yeah, I just blanked out for a second now. I'm back. Hey, Yummy Cheese Man, Game 2 is about to come up between Chiefs and Ground Zero. Now, that's not what you're expecting to happen in game one, was it?
No, they really came out of the gate. And I think this is really showing the pressure that the Gfinity Elite Series puts on people. Both of these drafty rosters, they don't have the pressure to perform. They can come in, they're coming out strong off the bat. It took a while, but Ground Zero really had a solid end of that game. At the last minute and a half, they had some really big opportunities. The only reason they got scored on right at the end is because they just threw everything in the kitchen sink at that goal, and it got turned around.
It can turn around so quickly, can't it?
But that means that Ground Zero have such a good chance in this game too, if they can play like they did, to bring this back.
I mean, seeing the way Chiefs have been playing, what do they need to do more of?
They're just working with each other so well. They've got those passes. Requiem holding a little bit further back, and that's his normal role. So he's going to be comfortable there, setting up, playing the midfield, and allowing Kia to really go off and attack.
It's got to hurt, that last goal, though. I mean, they just gave it everything, didn't they? And then it straight back down the other end.
It was so close, and the fact was they hit it a little bit high, went off the backboard, and they just didn't have quite enough resources left over to finish it off. Gives Change Ghost, both Sydney Raw. It gave Ghost a free goal, and that was actually really helpful for him as well to get into that game.
Yeah, well, right now we are into our next game. We're going to throw back to our casters. Jake and Jim, take it away.
And as always, it is a pleasure to be back. Game number 2, Jim Nesso. This is going to be a good series. I'm calling it now. I think Ground Zero just needed that first game to warm up, move into it. And in game 2, I'm expecting a lot more and maybe a much tighter game.
Well, I'm hoping that Ground Zero can find their groove and actually play 5 minutes of solid Rocket League, because for the back end of that game, they looked super solid compared to how they started. Chiefs out of the gate roaring. They really took Ground Zero by surprise, and I think that really hammers home for Ground Zero that they need to take this next match really seriously.
And when we have so many new players jumping on the Gfinity Elite Series, when we have so many new players who haven't been in this environment, it is about the nerves in the first game, adapting to this LAN environment. You've got to filter out the audience. And I know they won't, because a lot of the time it's hard not to hear them. We have a huge audience here today. And for someone like Requiem, it's an opportunity to use that, what a night. It was nice until that moment. It was nice until that very moment. But someone like Requiem was saying there, the audience is a chance for him, to back. Because there's a lot of Sydney-siders here, a lot of people supporting the Sydney Chiefs. And I think Requiem uses that to his advantage. And maybe in game 2, he can once again propel himself forward.
Well, that's right. I mean, he was a real revelation for them in that first game. And I think it's now on Ground Zero to try and answer that. There was a few moments where they got themselves back into the match. You saw players starting to connect some passes. They were looking a lot better. They were looking a lot better at absorbing the pressure. I think the direct play of Sydney Chiefs really flustered Ground Zero in the early stages, and it took them about 3 minutes to recover from it.
It did.
Once they did, they looked much better.
And you can see in the off-season the effort they've put in to get to the second season. The fruits of their labour have come forward and are now showcasing here in this first week.
I do like that fruit reference as well. But in terms of what Ground Zero need to do now, they need to answer back. They need to come back strong in game number 2. We know that they're a solid team in terms of how they play, that dynamic as well. Lim is a good, consistent player. You always know what you're going to get when you see Lim on the field. But in terms of Ghost is probably their outlet. He's that X factor. When he's in front of goal, he can certainly put them away. And I think in terms of how he comes to this match is going to determine whether or not Ground Zero get themselves in game 2.
Because Ghost had some impressive performances in the first season. He had some really impressive plays. We're now looking for him to do the same here. Different roster this time. I think last time Sydney Raw was the draft coming through. Or no, did play the full season if I'm not mistaken. So, so many players, so little time.
Well, that's right. Last season, Change and Ghost were actually teammates on Sydney Raw.
They weren't. But on Perth Ground Zero now, it's up to Ghost here to equalise the second game. And the Sydney Chiefs, they have an opportunity to shut this one early and get that match point with plenty of room to play with. But we'll find out. It's Perth Ground Zero, as Yummy Cheeseman said on the desk, a great end to game number 1.
I think that sets us up nicely now for game number 2 with these two teams. So they go head-to-head. They want to get their season off to a great start, and that's the thing. It's such a whirlwind season. You only play each team once. You have to take as many points as you can. You have to take the W's. And every match counts in that instance. So super important for both these two teams. They get themselves the perfect start.
Close call there from Ghost. Perth ground 0. Hang around the midfield. Touch away. That turns out to be a clear. Ghost will take it himself. They fake it out a little bit. Lim's there. The second touch was Walcott. Hard attack here to start off for ground 0.
And now just some breathing space for them as they do move that ball on. Change. Just looking to maintain pressure. Ground 0 looked a little shaky there again, and maybe some signs of the first match creeping back in as Ghost wants to pop it up. Can't find his teammate though. Lim was searching for that ball.
Definitely some stylish plays as Walcott adds to that. A slip of the defense almost. They'll hit the crossbar for a second time. 3 members commit from Sydney Chiefs, and all 3 members hold on.
The ball pings off the upright, and certainly making Sydney Chiefs sit upright in their chairs, that's for sure, as that ball is going to sit in front of goal.
Perfect. Walcott, he bumps out Kia, but the final touch from Ghost doesn't come through. Lim even commits for this, and Sydney Chiefs somehow, they survived for a second time, call that a third, with the miss of the infield pass over the top. Requiem is wide, so definitely we're talking about nerves coming into play. Kia doesn't seem to think so. He hits that backboard, he hits it well. The Sydney Chiefs now have a bit of an open net, bumps, demolitions, setting up nicely for both teams.
And there we go. Walcott finding the back of the net, long range effort. Requiem just couldn't get there in the end, and it sails above him. And that is unfortunate for Requiem there.
Unfortunate, the key word, Jim Nesso. Cannot agree more. But hey, for Perth ground 0, exactly the start to game number 2 that we wanted. It looks like a low-scoring affair. 3 minutes left remaining. That first goal struggled to come by for Perth ground 0, but they've been able to get the pressure on the attack. And this is perfect for the main roster.
It's chalk and cheese from what we've seen in the first match of the season, and now into the second match. These 2 teams are a little bit more closely contested. They're actually putting a premium on defense as well, with both just asking questions early on in the piece as Change looks to release his team. If he can get another touch, would have been in good stead, but they need to deal with this pressure. And Perth ground 0 just looking for that outlet, looking to get some passing play going. Lim should be able to do that now, but it's met right really well by Sydney Chiefs. And that ball's held up in midfield.
Keep thinking there's an opening there as well. You keep thinking Perth ground 0 have found an opening in that net, but Chiefs strike right back. Their defense in good positioning as well. Change a small bump onto Lim. He will come back in, but for Perth ground 0, still that only goal. Said it was a low-scoring affair. Looks like it's going to hold up. Walcott just reacts quickly. There's much needed here for Perth ground 0. Straight through the midfield. Time again, a big factor here for the Sydney Chiefs.
Both these 2 teams just pushing that ball back and forth, looking to see if they can force an opening in either's defence, but neither team really finding those connecting passes just yet. Very long-range effort. Those close-range passes haven't come to fruition thus far, but when they do, they can be dangerous, and Kia just gets that one across the face of goal, hoping to look for an infield pass. Couldn't quite find it. Ghost, some razzle-dazzle, but it's easy for Change as he pushes it forward now, and they need to defend Perth ground 0. They need to rotate.
Good passing play there, interrupted though from Perth ground 0. Walcott sets it up off this back wall, and looks like we're going to speed things up a little bit. Demolition onto Lim, halts it. Ghost miss as well. This is an opportunity for Sydney Chiefs, and Kia does exactly that, but Lim blocks him away. There's good defense coming through in game number 2. Requiem cannot re-angle this ball either. 45 seconds. Kia steals it, but the infield works out. And it's Change who commits to Ghost. It's now Ghost who finds the angle. It's now Lim who comes up.
And Lim just locking that ball in, seeing if he can maintain some pressure, but it's dealt with really well by Sydney Chiefs. There's 30 seconds remaining now, and it's on Sydney Chiefs to try and find that answer. I think if Perth ground 0 keep going forward, keep maintaining pressure, that's how they're going to win this match out. They can't afford to just relax, take their foot off the throttle, both figuratively and literally.
Sydney Chiefs, that could have been their last attack. Change keeps it in play though, and Requiem goes up. Perth ground 0, that one goal has held them strong from the 3-minute mark. But Chiefs aren't done just yet. Kia comes through. 3 members on the defense playing safe, and it's just ground 0's affair right now. That ball touches nicely there for Perth ground 0. And we got ourselves a series. I told you it would disappoint here, Jim Nassa.
Perth ground 0 grinding out that win. They were very, very measured in their approach to that match. It was far more, I guess, positive to see how calm they were on the ball. They weren't as flustered by Sydney Chiefs in this match. That first match, really, you could see how how nervous they were and how much their mistakes were punished. And coming into to game number 2 now, they were much more at ease.
Only one goal though, and it was just big clearance from Walcott at 3 minutes. There's your highlights. Watch it again because there was only one goal. So Perth Ground Zero, they managed to hold on for those 3 minutes. But Sydney Chiefs had a couple of opportunities. They had some respect there for the attack of Perth Ground Zero, and this is how it turned out.
It was a real to and fro battle, wasn't it? But I think in the end, Perth Ground Zero maintained their composure.
Yep.
And look, game number 3 set up so nicely.
I'm so glad we got a 1-for-1. We're going the full length of the series, or hopefully we're going to have a short break, but when we return, game number 3 of Ground Zero taking on the Chiefs.
Mr. Murray, have you decided on a name?
We're thinking Callum.
Callum Murray.
Callum Murray.
Calamari.
Let's make it Jack.
Drink it through with Dare iced coffee.
And what a beautiful time to join us here at the Gfinity Elite Series for Rocket League. We're one apiece here in the middle of Ground Zero, taking on the Sydney Chiefs. Of course, we've got some Perth fans in the audience. We've got some Sydney fans in the audience. If anyone's going for Sydney, you make a bit of noise. You let me know. That's good. That's a good start. Is anyone from Perth?
They're so far away I can barely hear them.
I mean, it's like, you know, like I said last season, it's like travelling to Singapore, the same distance there. It really should be an island of its own. However, that's my opinion of Perth. No one likes me for it. We're going to move forward in the next part of the series. Game number 3. Everything on the line here, and I love at the point where we are. It's just like the Order series as well.
It is, and I think this is going to be a really, really key match because Sydney Chiefs can either put the pressure back onto Perth Ground Zero and take this one, or Perth Ground Zero can really start to streak away here. So important that they get themselves off to the perfect start, and very direct approach is usually the way that they do that. And let me tell you, that is a way to maintain pressure here for Perth Ground Zero.
Well, game 3, I'm hoping for some surprises. Ghost nails that one down to the right wing. Beautiful stuff from Ground Zero.
Ghost making them pay just for leaving the ball his way. They didn't meet that as well as they should have, Sydney Chiefs, and they got punished by leaving the man Ghost to craft another goal for them. And he's such a good talisman when he's on fire.
When he's on fire, that's fair enough. And Ghost definitely a player to watch here in the Elite Series in the coming weeks. For Chiefs, off to a back foot. That's Ground Zero after game 2, looking mighty fine, but this clear almost takes them by surprise. Kia will not find the finisher. It's Walcott with a big clear.
Ghost should be able to lock this in, but it's not a great pass as Sydney Chiefs now. Requiem looking to maintain that ball pressure on goal. Perth Ground Zero just dealing with it a little bit better than they have in previous instances as the ball sails across the net. It is locked in as Ghost manages to get that clear, and there is the scramble.
You're joking. Oh, dearie. Well, Gymnesto, I'm going to leave this one to the replay, unless you want to add to it. Unfortunately for change.
Shortchanged in that exchange.
Well, he's going to have to recover from that, much like I recovered from your puns, Gymnesto. 2-0 start here for Ground Zero. Only a minute's passed, and Sydney Chiefs on the back foot. It's not something you normally say.
Important that Sydney Chiefs answer back quite quickly. They can't let this lead blow out to 3 goals because I feel like Perth Ground Zero can just shut up shop around them, even though there's still plenty of time left. A few demos around the ground to signal some intent, but you can't leave nobody at home. You can't leave those goals unattended.
I was going to say, for Requiem and Change, they ran into each other, and Walcott just takes it away. That was an easy one for Perth Ground Zero. They saw the flaws, they saw the opening. 3-0. What a runaway here to start off game 3.
And that demolition really upset the rotation.
Yeah.
It meant there was no one at home, and I think that was when Perth Ground Zero really started to get themselves back into these matches, is when they started to be a little bit more aggressive on ball, get those bumps in, get those demolitions, and it really has disrupted what Chiefs have been able to set up and start with this match. But if Sydney Chiefs next wants to score, Ground Zero can really start to streak away.
Starting to get comfortable with some of the pass plays here as well. So keep an eye on Ground Zero. They stick around the midfield. This pass again, infield all the way to Walcott, but it'll be intercepted before then. Them off the side. Again, intercepts seem to be the key. Change goes to the demo onto Ghost, or at least the bump away, but will surely miss. So Ghost comes back in off the roof. Kia doesn't have control here. It's Change who just hits it back up against the wall. Good touches, good clears from both teams, but a bit of a stalemate in the midfield right now.
That ball just bobbling around the front of the goal for Sydney Chiefs. Kia can't quite get away what he needs to. So Requiem there saves the day, but only momentarily here as Change is going to be challenged. That ball was sitting nicely.
What a pop-up as well. Lim still in the rotation. The third member's Ghost. He'll sail past it. A bit of a play of hilarity, we'll call it, but Perth Ground Zero continue the pressure, and Sydney Chiefs left wondering how they got stuck in defense so long.
Walcott just going through, clearing out Kia. Thankfully, the Chiefs, they're not under any defensive pressure right now. As Perth Ground Zero just look to lock that ball up in midfield. There really hasn't been too much advancement from Chiefs.
Kia!
Redirection.
What a good pass there from the Sydney Chiefs. That's got to bring them back into this game and into this series. Hopefully, that brings them into some point of contention here with 2 goals now the difference.
And it was such a nice little goal too. He just pops it with the back of his vehicle.
I don't think Kia even moved, to be quite honest.
No, he didn't. He knew. That was how good the pass was. He didn't have to move for it.
See if Sydney Chiefs can keep up this performance. They're in front of net again. Bit of a cluster here in that defense. They break free eventually in Perth Ground Zero. They actually find something here off of Ghost. Here comes back in. Ghost will have a couple of shots, but Walcott sails over. That was definitely going to be a goal from Perth Ground Zero. Opportunity missed once again. So Chiefs, see what advantage they can take of this. Requiem's just taking it himself. He'll find it all the way. And the Billy fan club resumes. Sydney Chiefs now very realistic.
A nice little double touch there just to seal the deal, put it away, and just close that gap that Perth Ground Zero had gotten away to. Now, I thought for a moment there it was going to be Ghost sitting in defence, haunting Sydney Chiefs, but that release has given new life to Sydney Chiefs.
Ghost again.
Oh,
That's
no.
a powerful shot. We're having some quick wham bam, thank you, ma'ams here. Perth Ground Zero now lead the shot.
And again, just a nice redirect there from Ghost. It really beat Kia to the punch. Completely wrong footing him. There's no way he could have gotten to that. Perth Ground Zero, best way to react to going down a goal.
Punch definitely the key word there though, Jim Nesso. We see another one, this time from Sydney Chiefs. Walcott's missed it. This should be a goal if Walcott can't return. A big bang from Requiem. Ghost with the save. Important to note here, folks. Sydney Chiefs bring it back up. It's going to be aggressive from here on. That's not a clear, but it will dissuade the Chiefs from coming back in.
The ball is just bobbling in front of net again. Should I say the defensive quarter. It's finally they get released here. Perth Ground Zero to Walcott. That is a great goal. Just doing it all by himself, all the way from one end to the other. Anticipates that nicely. He knew that ball was going to be set up for him, and he was so quick on it. Had some speed on that ball.
Defense definitely been the either question mark or the big point of contention here today. And it looks like Ground Zero have managed to get through it once again. Lim, this is a beautiful setup. That'll be another one if Walcott just swings through, but change. He'll get the save. Will it mean anything? Well, Lim tests him once again. Requiem clears it off that backboard, but look right here, right now. Perth Ground Zero looking like the stronger team since game number 2. Chiefs will be forced into a corner. And the Chiefs taking a loss in week 1. Boy, that's a storyline right here. If Ground Zero can take this win, Gfinity Elite Series season number 2, the pace is completely different. And we have champions sitting strong after this said week.
And it was so important for Ground Zero to capitalise on every opportunity they could. Right now, they've got themselves into prime position. If they win the next match, they take the series, and that is a great start for their season. Obviously, coming up against the Chiefs draft roster, you don't get the chance to take many wins against Chiefs, and when you do, you can. And should I say, when you can, you do.
You should.
As Chiefs now, they find themselves on series point. They have to defend it.
But for the Chiefs, yes, it may be the draft roster, but we've got powerful players here. Key has been around for ages. Change has made himself known in the last Elite Series, so there's definitely not anything against the players, but Perth Ground Zero seem to be out-rotating here, seem to be finding these gaps in the defense.
That first goal there, Kia just missing that one, unfortunately, and again, a mistake was capitalised on. There's not a lot that Sydney Chiefs could have done in that instance, but Walcott, again, punishing them entirely. And from there, Perth Ground Zero never really looked back. There was a moment where Chiefs actually got themselves back into the match, but
with that nice goal there,
they were the next to reply after taking 2 goals. They found that next goal, stabilised things, and set themselves up nicely.
I think today has already been an upset itself. Order found themselves in a position we didn't think they'd be in. And now Sydney Chiefs in that same position. Sydney Raw have done enough and look to be the strongest Sydney team at the moment with our draftees. But Perth Ground Zero, a 2-1 start is not a bad way to go, Jim Nessa.
It is not, and I'm looking forward to seeing more production out of Ghost, seeing him in front of goals and seeing the way that the team play, I guess, around him a little bit.
Yeah.
It's good.
I'm hoping for it. Match point now for Perth Ground Zero. Let's see what Luke has to say about this special turn of events.
Yeah, some awesome gameplay here. Season 2 Gfinity Elite Series really heating up. But right now, viewers on 10 Peach have to leave us. Rocket League coverage is finishing on free-to-air right now. Ground Zero are leading Chiefs 2-1. You can continue watching live at gfinityesports.com.au or see a full replay at 10play.com.au. For those of you who are sticking around, we'll be back with more Rocket League action from Sydney Chiefs and Perth Ground Zero in just a second.
We create machines that make every experience more intense and real. With Intel Core processors so powerful, you can redefine reality. Because the best feature of a gaming machine is the power to make you forget it's there.
Mr. Murray, have you decided on a name?
We're thinking Callum.
Calamari.
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 Let's make it Jack.
Drink it through with Dare iced coffee.
Like it's nothing. Come on, better kick it. Go. Good job, team. Good job.
And what a day to be back here at Gfinity Elite Series for Rocket League. I mean, what a day. It was hot outside yesterday. Today, I think it's cooling down. But in here, things are once again just heating up as Ground Zero moved to match point 2-1 against the Sydney Chiefs.
It's match number 4. It's do or die here for Chiefs at least. And Ground Zero, they set themselves up nicely.
They did.
For I guess, a victory. They were flustered in Game 1. They've stabilised in Game 2. They've looked strong in Game 3, but can they put the finishing touches on in Game 4?
Well, you'd have to hope so. Perth Ground Zero in a great position. Let's go into Game 4. If you're behind Ground Zero or the Chiefs, you need to make some noise in the crowd. Get behind your team, and let's get amongst it here as Sydney Chiefs. They need to make something happen here in this Game 4. Otherwise, it's going to be the second upset of the day.
Great clearance there from Kia as well, but there wasn't too much pressure coming through. Ground Zero now. They need to deal with that ball because it's just sitting in an awkward position. And Chiefs, they can't quite find each other at the moment. They need to get those passes going. They need to play a little bit more direct because that was what worked against Ground Zero in the initial stages, that first game. And they haven't really been able to find that form since.
Opportunity for pass plays for Ground Zero, I think, are important as well. At the moment, Lim, on the other side, they'll get a demo. That was on to Ghost from Kia, so they'll stop the play, but the attack from Perth Ground Zero, stronger than ever, it seems. Good intercepts as well. That was Ghost who just slides by, takes the ball away again. Lim up for the ball, he goes. Walcott again. Perth Ground Zero maintaining possession. Chiefs will finally clear it away.
Only momentarily though. It's ground zero. Just have a chance to build on that attack once more. Ghost, pop across goal, but there was no one coming through on that rotation. They weren't quite sure of it. They needed to go back and get boost. And this leaves Chiefs just to continue to build some attack. Look for those passes. Change off the backboard. Met well by Lim. And again, the passing game from Perth ground zero enables Ghosts to get up that wing.
And only because Requiem came up that wing to get the ball first that they'll get the clear away. The pinch in off the wall will set up Sydney Chiefs again for this attack. Change has just made the infield. Lim's not there. Right through that gap, Sydney Chiefs find the strike.
That is a great passage of play. Finally, that Chiefs combination gets going. Change, great infield pass from him. It left a nice wide open net. And they find themselves the opening goal in the match number 4.
Haven't had a game 5 yet, Jim Nesso, but I'm hoping to look forward to it here. With Sydney Chiefs holding that one goal, that's all it took for ground zero in game number 3. But something tells me we might have a differently paced game. Ground zero get the demolition onto Requiem in the midfield. They pass it through centre. They look for this right wing now. But with 3 minutes left remaining, Sydney Chiefs have got a bit of time here to continue that momentum. Perth ground zero, they're in front of net, but they don't look like they can do anything. Ghost swings by, gets a small touch on the ball, but doesn't look like to be enough. The steal through from Ghost again. Ground zero still left wanting.
Requiem now providing an outlet. This Perth ground zero do try and clear that ball, but that demolition just means they're short at the back. Much like my haircut. Because they do release themselves finally, and that ball will just sit in the defensive quarter of Chiefs for now. Great pass. This Kia is able to clear that very, very well. And Perth ground zero haven't really had too many chances going forward, and I like this. This has tightened up a little bit more from Chiefs. They haven't actually looked as under pressure as they did in game number 2 and 3, but still a lot of Rocket League to play.
Still, bit of a close shave here. The steal from Ghost. That's what we wanted to see, more of those passes from game 3.
What I like about Ghost is how quickly he can get to the ball, how fast he is. You see that speed on the ball. That is what beat out Chiefs there, and it's a great passing play from Perth ground zero to find their first.
Yeah, off the wall from Walcott, 2 minutes remaining. And I felt like it wasn't going to be like game 3. We're here with a 1-1 once again. Overtime and potential, but ground zero have managed to push through on that attack. Ghost will come back in. It's Lim from the corner. The bounces here is actually set up nicely for Walcott. Now watch Ghost come all the way back in if there's enough time, but Chiefs have already found the clear, so they'll play it patiently. Lim gets bumped out of the way aggressively. 1 minute 30 remaining here. Ground zero on the defense. Oh,
dear me.
Slight touch there. Now for ground zero, they need to get the ball clear. 2 members commit up from Sydney Chiefs. Lim has just dribbled it forward. Kia the last defender, but they're not giving them time to breathe. Lim will hang back, and ground zero now lose the ball to the midfield. Change comes up from the corner. Walcott slims it away to the side, and it's now for Kia to Requiem. The touch is there. Angle was beautiful from the Sydney Chiefs. They'll take another shot, but ground zero, they know how important this defense truly is with the infield as well. They'll block the third and looks to be final touch. Demolition onto Ghost means naught.
Need to be careful with that double commit, particularly when going for saves, because 2 players having to recover from lunging at the ball can often leave you with an open net. So Perth ground zero, just for a moment they look like they're under pressure. Chiefs, this is a great passage of play from them. And with the scores locked at 1-1, something has to give.
Well, overtime was a potential. It still might be. No, it's not. Not when Requiem comes flying in off the roof like that.
And you asked for a game 5, Jake. Chances of it going to game 5 now are increased.
Billy. The second goal for Chiefs. It's all his. The glory follows with it. And 30 seconds to hold on.
Billy, don't you lose my number.
Jim, after this, I'm sure we'll all have Billy's number. 20 seconds remaining. Kia comes flying in off the side. Chiefs might have done enough. Ground zero looks like they have 1 play left in them. They need the clear, though. It's up to Ghost, who doesn't have any boost. Change stops him. Time's are ticking. Lim comes in off the wall. Walcott appreciates. He definitely appreciates that pass. This is an opportunity for ground zero, but it's blocked by Change. Lim up for the ball off that backboard. Change negates it away. Requiem hits it once more. Ground zero is still keeping the ball up. It has to hit that ground. Walcott again They'll let it hit. Sydney Chiefs, game 5. Thank you very much.
Sydney Chiefs were just looking as quickly as they could to try and put that ball into the dirt because that stops play. But, I mean, in terms of performance there, Requiem having a much better game and also Kia contributing with that goal too really, really helped Sydney Chiefs just steal that one away from ground zero. There was a lot of good passages to play coming from ground zero, but Chiefs managed to put the ball in the back of the net when it counted.
When ground zero equalised, I thought, okay, you know, this is the start of a bit of a comeback, but Chiefs had control for the majority of that game, and you've got to look at people like Requiem, who hasn't hit our stage here in the Gfinity Elite Series. He's been around for ages, but Requiem has never been as much in the spotlight as he really is now. So players like Kia and Change, great performances here, but Requiem, for his first time on the stage, as we said, this is exactly what you want. A game 5 that says, hey, I'm here to play.
That's right. You can be around the scene for ages, but this is a completely different arena. It's a different experience for them. And in terms of what they're able to bring to it, it's a question of whether or not they can find their comfort zone early on. And it looks to be both these two teams have started to settle in. We set ourselves up for a game 5. And I'm keen to see where it goes from there.
Well, I asked for a game 5. I'm sure a lot of people asked for a game 5. We didn't get one with the first series, but now with Perth Ground Zero and Sydney Chiefs coming to this final moment, we've got the game 5. You show your support. That's what you should be doing. You got clappers in the audience. They make a jolly good sound. And Sydney Chiefs now looking to bring this one back from the fire that Perth Ground Zero started. Ghost will not get away with murder right there.
Asking you shall receive, Jake. We've got that game 5 and Perth Ground Zero playing very direct in the first few instances. Ghost, can he get that ball across? He can't. The Sydney Chiefs now release themselves up that wing. That ball is in front of net. They need to challenge that. It now pulsates back towards the middle of the field. And Ground Zero actually have been kept under pressure here by Sydney Chiefs. They've just locked them in. They've met those challenges quickly, met them with a lot of boost. And both these two teams now are just tussling for possession.
See Ghost there behind, was trying to disrupt the flow. Lim a little bit high on that ball, excuse me, when Lim was changed. It's now Requiem who's been set up. The pass to Kia again. Oh, the Chiefs. Some spicy pass plays here. I'm looking forward to what else they can do. It's Requiem once more. He won't get the dribble through. And it's Change to respond.
Attempted smother there from Change as well. That could have been a dangerous prospect. It's Requiem now. Needs to counter that smother. He couldn't. And that ball is dangerous at the moment. Perth Ground Zero are in a good spot, but no one can find that third connecting pass. They have to focus on defense. And that ball is finally cleared, but only momentarily.
Walcott has to be careful here. Needs big clears against the Chiefs. Their plays are getting faster and faster. Their rotations joining that speed. Lim doesn't get control over it. And you can see Requiem committing hard. He's the aggressive player in the Chiefs. Everyone's following him. And Perth Ground Zero now on the defense, struggling with the clears. Kia stops that passage of play. Everyone comes back up. It's Billy again. Change comes back in. The angle slides its way through. First goal for the Chiefs.
And the problem when you've got numbers behind the ball like that is you're always going to have weak clearances, if you can even get to that ball whatsoever. And that is a great passage of play from the Chiefs. Just maintained pressure, made sure that Perth Ground Zero, they were turtled up in front of goal, and they didn't have any boost to deal with. They couldn't get there. And Chiefs struck the first blow in game number 5.
From some of the weaknesses we saw in game 2 and 3, Perth Ground Zero struggling now to match the Chiefs. They're in front of net. Everyone's kind of gone up, but quick rotations back means Change going to be met with some heavy defense. Lim doesn't get control, but Kia gets destroyed. Now it's up to Lim. No pace on the ball. Walcott continues to push forward. Lim comes back in. The angle's beautiful. Walcott comes back in. Competitive at 1-on-1.
And they needed to make that play work. The reason is they had 3 members in that corner. And if that ball is released and he does not score there, that's down the other end of the field, and that's a goal against them.
I'm glad we're seeing some flashy goals. We're seeing some beautiful goals. We'll stick with the word beautiful here, Jim Nesso. 2:45 remaining, 1 apiece.
A very famous campaign, Yoga Benito.
I don't know how old you are, Jim, but I do not remember that one. 2 minutes 30. Now for Perth Ground Zero, opportunity to take this win and silence the Sydney Chiefs in week 1. Change comes through. Still no clear from Lim, struggling a little bit. He'll get a bit more time. Kia up for the ball. Change gets demoed on the way back, but Lim has just hit the corner. Respect from Kia. He waits patiently. And that defense going to hold out strong. Sydney Chiefs now in a great position. Kia with the infield, the touchdown, the third player not there. Walcott to Lim. Look at the pace. Oh, man. A treadmill doesn't even go that fast. That was beautiful stuff.
And if that's Tour de France, you're streaking out ahead of the team. And you have broken away from the pack. Perth Ground Zero have broken away from the deadlock with that 2-1. And could that be the deciding goal? The next 2 minutes will be what we used to find that out.
I hope we get ourselves even more competition. Perth Ground Zero. That 1-goal lead, but the Chiefs have cleared it away once again. Remember, Perth Ground Zero is struggling with the clears from their side. Kia passes it once again, but they've all committed up. That goal open for Walcott. He can't find it. Goes no pace either. This is an open net. Send it down. Kia says, there you go, net. That's your ball.
Great reply there as Kia finds the back of that net. There was a bit of a rough and tumble in that middle. And Sydney Chiefs, they reply quickly.
I don't know who we should be thanking for a game 5, but I've enjoyed every moment of it so far. 1 minute 40 remaining, 2 apiece now. And Sydney Chiefs bringing the tempo back into the game. Ground Zero trying to make these passing plays, and you can see Walcott waiting on the wall, getting creative. Change, get that clear off the backboard, but it's not much. And Ground Zero looking to start things up again.
Kia needed to meet that ball. As Walcott looks for an infield pass.
Oh, what
Doesn't
a pass
find
as well.
the connection, though. That was close.
Walcott's been making some beautiful passes. He's done it again. Lim, unfortunately, can't hit the ankle. Don't hit his ankle, please. A minute remaining. Perth Ground Zero playing with the passes again. It's goes 2 goes up. Sydney Chiefs changes there. Kia, a touch away. He won't go for net. He'll hit the corner. Instead, he gets the demo. Chiefs now hit the backboard. Ghost is in defense. He'll clear it away. So for Sydney Chiefs, not overly risky play, excuse me. But Perth Ground Zero, they've got other things on their mind. Great defense from Kia there as well. 40 seconds remaining, Gymnasto. Overtime, is it coming? Requiem will get demoed on the way. That's a massive clear.
This game is certainly delivering in the last 30 seconds as both these two teams attempt to break the deadlock in regular time. Otherwise, we're forced to go another overtime, Jake. And I just don't know who's going to break away with it at the moment. Both these two teams have had moments of brilliance that have separated them. But right now, that ball needs to be dealt with in front of net.
You can see no one's willing to overcommit here. Playing very defensively. The shot on net, but Lim easily there in time. Ground Zero looks to have the last play, but this ball's going to bounce. Overtime, game 5. What a way to return to the Gfinity Elite Series for season number 2. Walcott, don't end it now. Almost finds it, but the Chiefs, this is actually their opportunity. Lim, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Change comes back in. That one's still on net. Lim manages to hold it on. Kia takes more and more opportunities towards it. Lim's there to Walcott, and that's the clear. What else can be done here? Ground Zero take a shot on net, but that clear is going to set them up nicely. Walcott directs it away. Change needed that. Kia comes back in, right in front of that goal square. A bit more time to work with.
Must have been in a mobile black spot because he couldn't find that connection. And Sydney Chiefs now just need to absorb some pressure.
Oh, that's in! Oh, Sydney Chiefs from the brink of destruction in game number 3 and 4. Bring it back in overtime here in game number 5. What a way to start off the Elite Series for Season 2. In Season 1, they did the same thing against Sydney Raw, and they happened to bring in a draft roster again for Season 2 and do the exact same thing once more.
And Sydney Chiefs have a tribe of support here in the crowd. They played the way that they needed to in that last match, and they got away with the win. Perth Ground Zero are going to be disappointed. They played some great Rocket League. They were certainly sound in games 3 and 4, but in terms of getting themselves that win in the end, they couldn't quite find the back of the net.
Ground Zero, yes, they look a little bit disappointed, but I think Chiefs, they're not so ecstatic. They're like, yeah, we won, no worries. Game 5 overtime, no dramas. So we'll take a look at this one again because I think Sydney Chiefs had control from games 4 and 5 onwards. It was just a big boomer of a clear that pinches its way out towards that net. So happy days for the Chiefs.
And this is the one that decided it. And at the end of the day, you're going to be disappointed with that one because, again, another long-range effort is deciding in that particular match. So Both Ground Zero got to take some positives. They've got to get themselves into matches early on. They can't let themselves get flustered in match number one. Match number one, in some teams, it might be a bit of a write-off, but when it goes to game 5, every match counts. But they've earned themselves a point at least.
Good start to the series, to the Gfinity Elite Series in total. We've had 2 great series already, and I think now that we've seen the competition, the change of players and what this adds to the Elite Series, you start thinking, all right, no team is safe, and there is nothing set in stone.
I think Daisu said it best in one of those player interviews. Anybody can beat anybody, and I think that game in point, it's proven it.
Great way to finish off. Sydney Chiefs, congratulations again. We're going to throw it back to the desk for their analysis on that epic series.
What a match. What a match. Exciting stuff for Season 2. We're really seeing another level of play from these guys, aren't we, Dave?
In Game 5 overtime, that was so intense. My heart was racing. Chiefs just clutch it out in the end. They have that experience. Kia as well, getting those 2 goals just to take them not only into tiebreaker, but into the lead as well. That was a great effort from all of Sydney Chiefs, but also I think Ground Zero really grew over the series as well.
Well, great stuff from Ground Zero, but Sydney Chiefs just proving too good. Ash is hanging out with Change, the captain, right now. How's he doing, Ash?
Yeah, hanging out here with Change. Congratulations on that win. You guys, you won your first game, but then 2 in a row you lost. I mean, did that make you feel nervous at all?
Not really. I don't think there's like any pressure on us since we're the sub team pretty much and they're a main team. We haven't like practiced too much and we're all epic gamers, so
That's great. Well, what about going into overtime? I mean, what's the strategy going in there? There's any chit chat beforehand? I mean, Kia made the final goal. That must have been awesome.
So pretty much Kia just said no pressure on us. It's all on them pretty much. And yeah, I don't know. I think it paid off because we weren't really nervous. And yeah, Kia scored the winning goal and it was great.
It was great to watch you come back. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week. And it's back to you, Luke.
Yeah, it could be a season for the underdogs, Yummy. Exciting stuff. Let's find out right now who stood out for you as we find out who gets the MVP votes. Yes, it is time for our Astro Headsets MVP from the Chiefs Ground Zero matchup in Week 1. Yummy Cheese Man, who are your selections?
Well, there were great performances from both teams. I have to give a shout out to Ghost for getting them almost there, but when it came down to it, it had to be someone from Sydney Chiefs. It had to be between Kia and Requiem. And just edging it out, I ended up giving it to Requiem. It's his first ever performance. He had a big comeback. He was a major factor. Game number 4 of them putting the pressure on, getting midfield dominance there and getting a massive double touch as well. And having a lot of cheeky smiles, bringing up the quality of the team as well.
Yes, awesome. Good stuff, Rec Room. That's what we're all about here at the Gfinity Elite Series. New talent coming through and absolutely smashing it. Thanks very much. That is your Astro MVP for this week. We are about to go to a break. When we come back, Melbourne Avant taking on the Brisbane Deceptors. This is Gfinity Elite Series Season 2 Rocket League. We'll see you soon.
Mr. Murray, have you decided on a name?
We're thinking Callum.
Calamari.
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 Let's make it Jack.
Drink it through with Dare iced coffee.
I've been playing Rocket League for about 3 years and then competitively for about 2. I was pretty high level in StarCraft 2. That was a lot of fun. I never was like aiming to be a professional Rocket League player, it just kind of happened. I love how fast-paced Rocket League is. It's a lot of fun, it's always engaging, unlike soccer where you do spend a little bit of time just standing around. Rocket League's always action and that's a lot of fun. So I was playing with the Chiefs last season in Gfinity and that was really humbling because that roster was really successful and then we came third, so that was very disappointing and we were like, the competition's stepping up, we need to step up. It's been good to pick up the captain role for Brisbane Deceptors. I have the most experience on the team. I got two newbies on my team, so I got to lead them and show them how to win, you know. My expectations for this season are we should be able to make top 4. We're pretty confident in that and we're working really hard to achieve that.
Should mean good stuff for the Brisbane Deceptors having Jake on board, I reckon. They are aiming for their first semi-final appearance in the Gfinity Elite Series. Jake is going to be leading them from the front. Go, boys. Now let's recap what's happened so far in week 1. This is how it's played out today. Raw beat Order 3-1. Pretty dominant game from them, but a much closer second match. We saw Chiefs defeated Ground Zero. An absolute thriller. 3-2. In just a moment, Melbourne Avant taking on Brisbane Deceptors. Mr. Yummy Cheese Man, what have you been thinking about today's action so far? Are you loving it?
Both series are really close, really fun to watch, and even both you could consider upsets here with the sub-rosters coming in for Sydney Chiefs. So it's a massive sign of how the season's going to go. Anyone can really get into those finals.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's look at our final match. Let's look at Melbourne Avant's lineup first. Talk me through it, Yummy.
Brand new lineup for Melbourne Avant. Vive and Bango have picked up Misty, a new member of the roster, hasn't played with them before, hasn't played at a LAN before, and this is going to be all down on the experience of Bango.
Also,
He's
what a sweet combo of gamer tags. Vive, Bango and Misty. Crazy, sounds like a circus. I love it. From Brisbane Deceptors, we have Captain Jake, and he's joined by, Steve, correct?
Steve and Yeatsy. Those two have been playing together for a while. They're young. They're the youngest players here at Gfinity. They don't have a lot of experience, but that is why they have Jake. I think this is going to be a really good roster. They could work a lot throughout this season. Having Jake on the team to really teach them how to be their best, I think that's going to make a big difference, and they actually have a very good shot of making it into the finals.
Well, if our first 2 matches have been anything to go by, we're about to see some huge Rocket League action right now. Let's get our players out here. So, go FC Nuts for last year's finalists. Give it up for Melbourne Avant! And taking them on today, all the way from the Sunshine State, go nuts for the Brisbane Deceptors! My goodness, vocal fans. Our final Rocket League match for week 1. All right, mate, have a go. Here we go. Our final match for week 1 is just around the corner. Join us after this short break for all the action. You're watching the Gfinity Elite Series. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon.
Mr. Murray, have you decided on a name?
We're thinking Callum.
Calamari.
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 Let's make it Jack.
Drink it through with Dare iced coffee.
3 days ago, Coda announced that Zero would join Cell 7 in the upcoming Soma Worlds tournament. After so many league victories, switching teams this close to the tournament appears to be a deliberate move to destroy Coda's chance at the title.
Welcome back to the Hoist Gfinity Esports Arena at the Entertainment Quarter in Sydney. If you want to join us live each weekend, grab your tickets on hoist.com.au/Gfinity. Yummy, my main man, how do you see this final match playing out?
It's such a crucial match for both of these teams. I think when you look at these teams, they're the ones trying to climb up the ladder to get into those finals, to maybe upset teams like Order who are on that verge. But I think you have to give it out to Brisbane Deceptors. Yeah. They've got that experience from Jake. They've got a really strong lineup. And I think they'll be able to take it out.
Scoreline prediction?
Yeah, it's a 3-1. I'm going to agree with the audience.
Yeah, 3-1. All right, 3-1 to the Deceptors. Let's find out right now. It's time for the final match of Gfinity Elite Series Season 2 Rocket League. Over to you, Jake and Jim.
As always, thank you, Luke. We're jumping straight back in the final series here of week number 1. Gymnesto Hysterics, you should know us by now. We're pleased. We're pleasure. Apparently we're pleasure. We're pleased to lead you into the final series here.
Right now we're pain.
We're pain. You'd be pain if you look at Brisbane Deceptors here. If you look at the matchup that's about to take place. Avant running Misty here as well. And I'm curious, when a new player jumps on that stage, you want to support them. You want to see what they've got. And this is a chance for the first ever LAN experience.
It's a big occasion too. I mean, as David said on the desk, this is a huge match for these two teams. Very, very critical in how their season will go. They want to make that top 4. This could be the deciding factor.
And this is also a trial for Misty. Melbourne Avant, Brisbane Deceptors. Give it up for the last series of today for week number 1. So pleased to have everyone joining us here in the crowd. As Luke said, you can too. So expect to see more faces, more names each and every week. And the name right now I'm looking at from Melbourne Avant is Misty. 5 with a good pass there. Bango locks it on. But the save from Jake. Misty comes in a little bit wide. Now for Brisbane Deceptors. Again, not the best season to start things off, but now they've got a bit of a, well, they've got a massive roster change completely. Got Yeats, you got Steve, but most of all, you got Jake, who is a seasoned veteran. He'll take the ball himself. Good dribble from Jake. He'll miss the second touch, but guess who won't? It's Steve.
And they are out for blood here, Brisbane Deceptors. Jake leading the way. He said he wanted to be a more aggressive player this season. He wanted to go forward a little bit more and bring that element to his game. He's certainly taking the ball directly to Avant, and they have found the first goal, Brisbane Deceptors.
That first goal is going to be everything here for the Brisbane Deceptors. A lot of bets placed on them to take this one out. But Melbourne Avant, some big shots already coming through here. It's going to be Bango who commits. Great angle to play with the crossbar in the way. Misty commits and essentially wins over that challenge. Demolition, they run into each other. The collision course doesn't mean too much right now. It's the defense from Melbourne Avant. Or just enable them to clear it up the field. Jake again says no.
Bango just looking to find his teammate Misty, as they can start to build some sort of passing game, get that rhythm going early on, feel the rhythm, feel the ride. Just looking to see if they can put some pressure on their opposition's goals. Brisbane Deceptors not really pressured at the moment by Melbourne Avant. Very, very passive in the early phases of this game.
Got some good setups there from Misty to get that centre pass, Steve. Solo himself. He's making the camera go crazy. Misty now the dribble. This is up to him. Loses it over to Yeats.
It's a double S at the start of his name. That's what makes the camera go crazy.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, Jim Nesso.
It's a bit of a stutter.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Steve, slight save there. Viber's ready to come in. Another demolition. A little bit explosive here from Brisbane Deceptors, Jake. Bango with a pass down to Vibe. They can't do too much with it. Jake will get the second touch as well. Misty commits forward, which means this is going to be an issue for Melbourne Avant. Infield pass from Jake. No one's there. It's just Vibe. Pressure continues to mount here in front of Brisbane Deceptors.
Vibe looking to see if he can release his team from this defensive set that they're playing.
Oh, that was open too. Unfortunate from Melbourne Avant. They'll take another shot, but this one's not going to be so clear.
Infield pass. Vibe just puts that one above the crossbar. Jake should be able to meet that. Itzy will be able to clear it out quite nicely too as Misty challenges. But there's no real passing play thus far between the two teams. There is a moment here where Avant can start to build something, but they need to be fast in that ball.
Demo again from the Brisbane Deceptors, what you saw there. Jake got plenty of boost to work with. He'll get it through Bango, but now it's up to Steve. The touch is good. Yeatsy doesn't push forward. Brisbane Deceptors playing around the midfield. Bango doesn't have enough boost to get up there. Misty's left on the defense, and so far, pretty clean stuff from Misty. But unfortunately, Melbourne Avant can't get opportunities like this. Steve almost silences that ball into the back of the net. Brisbane Deceptors unable to puncture. Yitzi will come back in. Misty with the save. Good blocks here from AV. A second time, Melbourne Avant able to hold out, but they need to push this into attack.
Avant very much guarded at the moment in front of their own net. And they've absorbed the pressure that Brisbane Deceptors have been applying. As Vive just pushes that ball upfield, but there's no real release just yet. As Misty looking to see if he can connect and find a teammate, but Jake is so aggressive right now.
Double touch is a little bit wide, but Yeatsy finds fair game. Number 2 for the Queenslanders.
And some justice for Yeatsy.
That's a nice internal joke. Well done. Couple of members from Justice actually here in the audience here today. Yeah, there's a bit of cheering as well. That's good. We've got the support. But of course, Yeatsy and Steve, they've been around the scene for a little while if you are just tuning in, but we haven't seen them on the stage at the Gfinity Elite Series here. Coupled by Jake as well. Now, normally the trio finishes with Whis. So far, Brisbane Deceptors looking good here with Jake. There's an opportunity, as I say. I'm so sorry, Jake. 50 seconds remaining. He'll miss that one, but that's a good pass over. This actually bounces back down. Vive has to play with it. He'll get it out there, but for Avant, they need a goal right now. Bango hits it off the backboard. Steve and Jake both commit, but it works out anyway. 30 seconds remaining, and a calmer game here. All about that passing play. Looks slower as well. Misty tries to bring that tempo to the game. 30 seconds remaining. Melbourne Avant. Looks like they've run out of time.
But they were looking much more comfortable in that last passage of play. The passing game was starting to get there, starting to find the rhythm and groove. But you can't leave that net open. And Bango says bingo as he finds the first for Avant. 18 seconds left. Do they have enough time?
Unfortunately, there's more than just one on there in bingo. It was a fake call. 18 seconds. One goal, Melbourne Avant. The opportunity's there, but they can't wait for it. Brisbane Deceptors, let's see how their defense goes.
Need to clear that ball. Melbourne Avant. Vive. Can he provide them with the last opportunity?
No, he cannot. Jim Nesso, Jake. A big fat no. Game 1, Brisbane Deceptors have held on to, and they'll do enough here to silence it out.
And whilst there's only 4 seconds left to play in the game, I don't think they're going to overcome it with 2 goals.
They're definitely not.
Let's see if they can prove me wrong.
No, jib. Not going to set you up for failure. Brisbane Deceptors, they'll take out game 1 here. And it's interesting to see Jake on this roster, the former Chiefs superstar. He's been doing a lot in the off-season, but he's returned to play. He's looking pretty good. A couple of misses there. Of course, we're going to be critical of Jake always, but game 1. Some clean stuff there from B&E.
Well, that's right. When you've got a player of Jake's calibre playing in that team, he's always going to be the focal point. Always going to be the focal point. And I think very much so, Avant, when they're looking across that roster, they focus on Jake. So I think from both sides of the coin, there's definitely an emphasis on what he brings to the table. But not to be discounted, Yeatsy and Steve have also put in quite well.
On the other side, though, I think we look at Misty and we say, you know, there were some good moments in play. Unfortunately, AV as a unit were a little bit quiet there in that first game, but doesn't mean opportunities can't be made by Melbourne Avant in game 2, but slower pace of game here. More thought out, more... What's the word I'm looking for, Jim Nesso?
Good question, Jake. I'm never sure which word you're actually looking for. I always have to just ad-lib it sometimes.
Well, you just gotta work out what I'm saying. Brisbane Deceptors. This is a good start to the season. Remember, we're talking up like Sydney Raw, who last season didn't have a very good run. Brisbane Deceptors in the same boat, but this time you've got Jake. You've got the members who have got a bit more experience, so it spices things up.
It does, but I mean, counter to that was also a very passive start from Melbourne Avant. They were very much set in their own half. You could see they weren't taking too many risks going forward. They were just trying to find their rhythm. When they looked best, there was a passage of play there, about 5 or 6 passes they put together. That, if they can continue that and put 5 minutes of solid Rocket League with good passing together, that's when they're going to get over Brisbane Deceptors.
Now, I've just been informed as well, as we just get stared down by Bango, that we do have a bit of a reward for you. The Incent drop code is coming out. I've already put 2 into my phone. I'm earning while I'm here. Obviously not live on air. All you have to do is head to gfinity.incentloyalty.com. There's code coming down the bottom of your screen. What have we got? G Defender there. Throw it in, get rewarded, get paid. as Luke likes to say.
There you go, guys. Make sure that you enter that code. It's only up for a limited time, so make the most of it while it's
Currency, all right. Currency, by the way. I'm getting there. It's been a long but a good day, and I think getting rewarded with good gameplay as well is important. I think we've done that so far, and in Game 2, Brisbane Deceptors are going to have to live up to some of the hype we're pushing them to. We're going to jump straight into it now. No waiting around. I'll even get my phone out, put that last code in. And Brisbane Deceptors, Melbourne Avant, Game 2. We begin.
Melbourne Avant need to find themselves some momentum early on. Bango feels the wrath of Yeatsy.
Oh dear.
That ball is sitting in front of net. No connection from Jake though, fortunately for Melbourne Avant, as they do just try and play that ball out the back of the net. If Bango can get a touch on this, can't quite.
Oh, defense. Almost found there by Jake, but Vive smacks it through him. This is Melbourne Avant start. Perfectly done.
Cool, calm, and collected there. Vive just puts that ball into the back of the net.
He's a cool dude. He's a cool dude, you know. And it's hot up there as well. To see him, you know, not stressing, see him pretty calm.
It's the gameplay. It's just sizzling.
Well, hasn't spiced up just yet, though. That one goal. Demolition on the side. Melbourne Avant playing with that ball a little bit. We set up Bango. That's directly on net. It goes through. Not often you see Jake miss those, but a great shot by Bango nonetheless.
This is the thing I like about Bango, is he can poach goals like this all day long. And he threaded the needle on that one. That was the only gap he was going to find in that defense, and he managed to find it. So if he can continue the form that they've set in this second match, they can get themselves away here to a nice little lead, bring things back in match number 2.
Some small bumps coming through from Brisbane Deceptors. That's a good infield pass, but Jake, it's negated on the side of Melbourne Avant. Still on the defense, Misty. The biggest clear. Jake waits for it patiently, but two members have just swung past it. Steve doesn't get the clear either. Bango misses the shot. Couple of mistakes happening here, but a good clear nonetheless. Steve sends it up. Misty hits it back down to Bango. So strong defense needed here from Avant, especially now. Infield passes doesn't amount to anything here for Steve.
Steve probably needed to be a little bit more direct with his touch, but that just allows Melbourne Avant to get themselves out here. And met quite nicely there.
Good block.
Yeatsy.
Jake needed that though. Shot now, found by Steve. Misty blocks again. Yeatsy comes back in. A chase by two members. Vive, the one that takes it out. Steve sends it back up. Looking for the challenge. Jake decides otherwise. Bango just dribbles it down. Yeatsy with the quick save.
The thing with Bango is he's always going to ask questions. He's always going to be pressuring that defense, peppering that goal. Brisbane Deceptors thus far have dealt with it, I guess, admirably. Yeah. Because of the rate that they're coming through. Brisbane Deceptors could find themselves a goal here. Vive strong in that challenge.
Still not over just yet. Jake doesn't find the second touch. It's Misty who gets the clear away eventually. Bango to Vive. No one hits it. They wait patiently, and patience seems to be working well for Avant. They'll pop it up again. Misty, welcome to the Elite Series.
Great goal for himself to find just some calming, I guess, ways of settling those nerves. Getting a goal in your first matches on stage is always a great way to just settle any nerves that you might have. As we said, they sit in front of the crowd here. It can be an intimidating stage, and for a player, his first LAN environment, his first stage game, it's a big ask. But Jake applies, the veteran for Brisbane Deceptors, a well-travelled player, gets his team back on the board, nice and early, a quick response.
And although Misty had a great goal just then, unfortunately he misses that touch off the wall, and it costs Melbourne Avant 2 goals the difference, 2 minutes 30. The time on the clock right there. Brisbane Deceptors have an opportunity. They took game 1 out. It was convincing enough, but right now, being not strung up, they're being attacked heavily by Melbourne Avant.
Melbourne Avant could just get that next goal. They really go a long way towards killing off any momentum Brisbane Deceptors are trying to gather at the moment. As the ball is challenged in the middle, it's a bit of a pinball situation as Misty looks to put that ball into the danger area. Met quite well by Brisbane Deceptors, but they have been pressured here. They could be a little bit flustered.
Oh, Misty.
Great save by Jake.
Yeah, Jake picks up the saving medal on the way out, but Misty peppering that goal a little bit here. He's got an opportunity again. This time Steve blocks it out. That clear. Perfect setup for Jake, but he won't find the second touch. Maybe a bit ambitious. Steve the infield. Yeatsy. Back on the roof. That's a great second touch, but no one comes up. I think it was a bit unexpected. Misty gets it through. Steve now, once again. Five will go up, leaves it for Bango. The pass crosses. Five's not there, but eventually he'll react to it as he gets demoed up the field, though. This is for Jake. Perfectly done. That's Chiefs Jake right there, and he's adapting that place off.
And he makes it look so effortless as well. That's a great little direction into goal from him. And it's all calm faces at the moment. You can't get away. You can't get too carried away and celebrate early on. They've still got a job to do. They're still 3-2 behind. Melbourne Avant, can they wrestle back that momentum? That's the question on everyone's lips right now.
A slow-paced game. You'd have to think that the answer's no. If Brisbane Deceptors can't find plays like that again. But Steve, however, has just dribbled the ball through. Five over to Bango. Jake, he won't find the touch there either. And in fact, this is Melbourne Avant's ball. Steve needed to get that touch to slow down the pace, but Five has come back in. He's bounced the ball. Steve wiser to the play, though. Yeatsy will get demoed on the front line, but Bango's just almost set up Jake. Yeatsy will come all the way back, but here comes Melbourne Avant. Five's in here, misses the touchdown. Bango smacks it. Misty recovers the play.
That's a great sequence of play there from Melbourne Avant. Just using that backboard to its fullest. Bango got that shot. Just playing there with Misty. He puts it away, meets that ball quite nicely, and Melbourne Avant find that 4-2 lead. It's more comfortable now for them.
We're hoping for maybe another game 5. We dared to ask for it here in this series, but it looks like it might be a reality with the way things are going. Back and forth, Yeatsy. That was his again. Bango sweeps in the nick of time. Looks like Melbourne Avant may have done enough. That goal could have changed things, could have put the pace back on. 30 seconds remaining. Brisbane Deceptors need one right now. Great pass from Steve. Jake pops it up again. This is to Yeatsy. That backboard is his, but they cannot find the redirect back down. 20 seconds remaining in Brisbane Deceptors. They've run out of time. And it looks like Melbourne Avant will equalise here for the final series of the day.
Unfortunately, just a little bit out of touch. They will be a little bit out of time in that match. Brisbane Deceptors.
Oh, Misty, unfortunate. But a good, I think Game 1 wasn't enough of a debut here for Misty. Game 2 definitely feels like a bit of improvement. Brisbane Deceptors taking shot off the shot, but it's not going to matter. Game 2 equalises once again, and we have not had a 2-0 lead to start us off today. All 1-for-1s.
And Misty getting himself involved nice and early on. 2 goals in that match. And as you said, match 1 really wasn't a good indicator of his level of play. Match 2, we're starting to get there. So, as we said, there were a lot of question marks over him coming into this roster at last minute as well. A lot of adaptations that the team had to make. And so far, in match number 2, they started to slot it together and they looked more comfortable.
I think for Melbourne Avant as well, when you saw the pace kind of slow down a little bit, more time meant more goals for AV. So Brisbane Deceptors struggling a little bit when they can't bring that pace forward.
And again, Jake was a real outlet for Brisbane Deceptors. Obviously the veteran of the team, obviously getting himself a little bit further forward in the field now. And not so much a defensive player anymore in this lineup. He wants to get forward, he wants to get aggressive. Probably has to be a little bit more aggressive again. Because when he was pushing forward, that's when he looked the most dangerous. So if he can get more goals for Brisbane Deceptors, that's how they get themselves back into the match. Obviously, Yeatsy and Steve, they just need to lift a little bit more.
You got to remember as well that for Jake, he hasn't been in this lineup. Like this was originally, you know, Wisp filled the mix, never entered the Elite Series. You've got 2 new members playing at a LAN. You also have Jake, who's been at the LAN so many different times on the Chiefs roster. I think Jake is kind of the core at the moment, but Stephen Yeatsy still putting up a really good fight.
It is very much the case that I'm keen to see how his experience is going to lead into victory. Can he do it? That's the question.
You'd have to find out. We're going to throw to a short break. One apiece here in the final series of the day. We'll be right back.
Mr. Murray, have you decided on a name?
We're thinking Callum.
Calamari.
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 Let's make it Jack.
Drink it through with Dare iced coffee.
3 days ago, Coda announced announced that Zero would join Cell 7 in the upcoming Soma Worlds tournament. After so many league victories, switching teams this close to the tournament appears to be a deliberate move to destroy Koda's chance at the title.
You are watching the Gfinity Elite Series presented by Alienware. Now, a reminder that Alienware is giving you a chance to win a brand new M15 laptop this season. It is the thinnest and lightest 15-inch gaming notebook ever, and this is your chance to take one home. There are 9 different ways to enter, so get on the website for details. But right now, it is 1-1 in our final match of the day between Avant and Deceptors. We're going to get straight back into gameplay. Over to you, Jake and Jim.
That is the way it should be. One apiece once again here for the Gfinity Elite Series in the very first week. Deceptors, I mean, I'm surprised. We're expecting this to be a 2, maybe a 3-0 as we got around to it, but there's some fight left in Avant. And I think the Deceptors a little bit surprised by this as well. So game number 3 is going to tell us a little bit more and a lot more about Misty as we jump back in. Our new player to Melbourne Avant has shown up a little bit here. Let's see if game 3 holds the same cards for it.
Wasn't a whole lot known about this player either. I think he was shrouded in mystery as he entered this series. But as we go through, we start to learn a little bit more. We start to peel back the layers of the onion as Misty again just tries to provide an outlet for his team. Jake, just push this ball forward.
Oh, what a touch.
Great
there.
teamwork.
Almost turns into an on-range shot. Steve won't find anything, but Yeezy will. Misty on the defense again. And I'm sure Yummy will have plenty to talk about in this AV roster either way, but game number 3, very important here for the rookie. It's an opportunity. Misty waiting in net. Yeezy hits that backboard, won't hit anything more. Bango doesn't find the defense. Jake is wide. Brisbane Deceptors, their opportunity goes awry once again. Steve cannot pass to anyone. It's just Bango left in the defense. Ooh, they bump into each other as well.
Just a bit of miscommunication there as they do get released from their defensive deadlock. Because now that ball is sailing the back of the net. And Jake, he recognises an opportunity when he sees one, and make no mistake, he puts that one away. Misty had to challenge something there, and unfortunately it was right into the path of Jake. Infield pass intercepted. And Brisbane Deceptors find it earlier. No.
You can see 5 was ready for that one as well, Jim Nesso, but Brisbane Deceptors, like you said, had other plans. First goal of game 3, over to Brisbane here. Now where does it go? Steve, it's a bounce. Jake nor Yeeksy will commit up for it. They come back in now. Bit of miscommunication again. So remember, talking about this newer roster, Jake, great pass back. Vibe won't find the touch either. It'll take some time, but the pass to Steve. Back over to Yeeksy. What's going on with the passes here? Send it towards the net, or maybe play the mind games. Number 6 pass doesn't work. Does number 7? Does number 8? Yes, it does. My Lord, that was strange, but it worked out.
It was dragged out, wasn't it? It was like an episode of Days of Our Lives. How many times can that ball float around the front of the net without being put away? Finally they do it. Finally they move on. They find themselves a second goal, and now Melbourne Avant have some soul-searching to do. It's only 2 goals, though, so it's easily overcome if they strike next.
Well, fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, Jim Nesso. Brisbane Deceptors.
That explains the peach on the desk.
Apparently so. Bango and 5. That was their sweep through right there. Brisbane Deceptors still holding out. A much different game number 3. Good pass to Steve. That was directly on as well. 5 gets the defense. He bumps Jake on the way out. Trying to disrupt the play. Steve pops it over. Look at Steve right here, having the time of his life. That ball belongs to him, and Jake knows it. Now Yeeksy might know it. Bango finds a clear away eventually, but Brisbane Deceptors, their possession game up all the way in game 3.
And Misty, can he dribble this ball out? He does pass one, but not the second defender. Jake reading that one all too easily. It's Melbourne Avant seeing whether or not they can just relieve themselves of some pressure, just push their opposition away, give themselves some breathing space, find some boost, reset themselves as Vibe will clear that quite nicely. But again, Jake, he's reading it so well.
It's Misty here just reacting to the clears. Misty just sitting on the back wall. The difficulty rising here for AV. You need something electric if you're running into Misty. Right now, Brisbane Deceptors feel like they have the counter match. Jake and Yeeksy walking towards that net. Now Steve pops it up and back down. Brisbane Deceptors, 2 goals, 2 minutes. Happy with the outcome so far, but Bango just can't get it through the midfield. Bit of a struggle, and looks like Brisbane Deceptors have their number here in game 3.
That demolition just puts the pressure back on the Brisbane Deceptors for a moment. Yeeksy easily able to meet that ball quite nicely.
What a pass!
Jake. No mistakes whatsoever. That's his bread and butter.
You're kind of happy that Steve missed that there. Jake would have had to push up a little bit faster, and the pass wouldn't have been so clean. So Brisbane Deceptors, it all works out. And again, off the back foot of this experienced player, 3-0. Game 3 could be that explosive power punch that Brisbane Deceptors were looking for.
Always looking to lead by example as well, Jake. And
No. Oh, Yeeksy. Now, we'll watch this one again. I'm not sure if we want to. But I think
there was an error made in the back.
Maybe coordination there from Melbourne Avant as well. But 1 minute 32, Brisbane Deceptors walking away with this. And it kind of sets up the Elite Series. You know, we talk about the stronger teams. Not that Melbourne Avant are looking like the weaker team right now, but it's a struggle going against a team that can sometimes be so unexpected. Like Steve there, save from Bango was beautiful. But it won't lead to much here in game 3.
I think we just need to emphasise how important this game is so early on for these two teams.
Yeah.
Because it's our first look at them. The first look at the way that they're playing together. First match as well. But these two teams are probably going to finish somewhere similar on the scoreboard, on the leaderboard. And this game could be the deciding factor as Jake puts that one away.
No boost from Steve as well. Just pops it up. And Jake punches his ticket in game number 3. Also might punch his ticket in the series. 5-0 here. There's not enough time. Melbourne Avant. Not sure they can come back in this one. But for Brisbane Deceptors, a good look into how they'll perform across the Elite Series. How Jake will fit into this roster. There's setups like this that you say, once a team starts rolling, they're going to get some crazy goals like this. Yeeksy. Great reads. Communication starting to come through a lot clearer. Game 3 is done and dusted here for Melbourne Avant, and it's more about how they can bring themselves back in the series.
Well, see, the thing is, too, when you go down by so much in a match, you do have to go through a reset. You do reset yourself. Yep, they'll be writing that off now. They'll use this time to just talk it through. What are they going to do in game number 4? And they'll be setting their sights towards that. So look for them to just build some passing play, build some momentum, just go through the motions in match number 3. Try and set themselves up here for match number 4. Maybe take some confidence away from it if they still can, because Brisbane Deceptors have been largely in charge.
Game 3's been all about them. Brisbane Deceptors looking to close this one out. They'll have the lead. And Jim Nesso, as you said, they'll have the confidence. Misty needs a little bit more of that. He'll almost find his way through. Five will clean it up. So a 6-1, moments away from a Brazil. But with 5 seconds left remaining, AV. And they got to look at this, be strategic, and sense their win. Take us to a game 5. But if Brisbane Deceptors let them, then after this game it might be a bit questionable.
Guess we'll find out how that will pan out in just a moment. But you can see from start to finish there, Brisbane Deceptors were very, very much in control of the match.
They were.
And they've looked the goods. That being said, though, match number 2 is completely different. Melbourne Avant controlled the pace of that from start to finish, and we didn't see that in that last match. We didn't see the same performance as we did in match number 2. Is it going to be a to and fro battle? Is the sea going to soar?
I hope so. I love seesaws, Jim. I haven't been to a playground in years, and right now I'm feeling it. Brisbane Deceptors just showed why they're one of the teams to be feared. Again, Steve, Geetsy haven't been on the stage before, but here they are showcasing in this 3rd game. And again, it's about Melbourne Avant. When the pace picked up, they struggled. As you can see here, that ball so fast, struggling to rotate back. I'll leave a lot of that stuff to Yummy Cheese Man, but I think Jake fitting in nicely to the squad.
I think so, and I think what he provides in terms of experience is certainly shown, because he's leading from the front. He's getting himself into more aggressive positions. He's getting himself into goal-scoring positions.
Yep.
And he's converting the chances that he's getting. So it's also opening up Yeatsy and Steve a little bit more to, I guess, just play provider for him. I think Steve was just quite happily connecting with Jake quite easily, finding those passes, and that's where they look the good. So Melbourne Avant, they've got some work to do. They just need to try and break them down a little bit more and get their own passing plays together. Jake?
I don't know why you looked upset there. It was such a clean game, Jake. Why are you upset? Probably just happy to be back, of course. Jake has had, you know, he's had an interesting season. The first season was interesting for him, but let's not worry about that. We'll talk about that later. Game number 4 now, Brisbane Deceptors. Match point here for our last series, but Melbourne Avant want to take us all the way. And it belongs to them if Misty and Vive can start working together again. Bango's been a big member here. Misty has as well. Let's see how we go.
I mean, Bango's the most, I guess, experienced player in that roster, so they're going to really look to him to just provide that stability, that consistency that comes with the pressure of the situation. But the early opportunity is capitalised by Brisbane Deceptors.
Get them off that wall. This corner, this wall. Brisbane Deceptors love it. And Jake just gets fed the ball like it's a free chicken dinner. He eats it with pride. Brisbane Deceptors, they'll take that first goal. And ever so close to destroying Melbourne Avant here in Game 4.
They're absolutely enjoying this at the moment, Brisbane Deceptors, despite the fact that they might visually not represent it. The looks on their faces are stern, but underneath they're smiling because they're playing well. Melbourne Avant, as we said, if they get those passes going, Vive, if he can get a little bit further forward, he can be released in attack. He's going to provide more options.
Good
and Bango
pass.
plays direct.
Should almost find it. Bango doesn't get the second touch, which means Avant narrowly missing that goal. Unfortunate, but Brisbane Deceptors hold on. Steve will be able to push through. This is an opportunity. Misty's missed. Oh no. He walked me right into that as well. Jake takes the pass and the pressure's back on. Bango gets the touch over. No one's here. Vive sends it downward. Melbourne Avant, that was open. Vive goes wide. Couple of issues. Misty trying to reciprocate that pressure. They have. And they equalise.
And Vive makes amends for that lack of direction before. He must have been using some sort of Apple Maps. But he makes his way onto the scorebook and he levels the playing field here. Melbourne Avant, they bring it back one apiece. Plenty of time to play. And I like the passage of play. I liked the pressure applied by Melbourne Avant. They need more of that.
Well, see if Brisbane Deceptors can create an answer here. It'll be on the back of Steve, who's waiting up. Shot almost bounces in. Bango to find the clearance, but it's just Steve who sends it out to Jake. A good pass, but unfortunately not quite there. Vive over the top. The defense comes through, and Bango helps put that pressure on.
And they have made no mistake here. They've kept the pressure up. Vive, great work from him. Finds that crossbar. And Bango does what he does best and put that ball into the back of the net. 2-1.
So Melbourne Avant, they say, let's go to a game 5. Let's take it all the way. Brisbane Deceptors say no. I'll just take it to a 2-all.
And the reply is instant. They've been left on red for long. Now,
Jake's ability to read that straight off the bat, walks forward and says, yeah, this is coming down right here. This is my goal. Again, the experience of this player shines through.
Just being able to respond so quickly to that has just eased the pressure on Brisbane Deceptors. There's no chance for Melbourne Avant to build on anything. They're back on equal terms. They're back where they started. Let's see whether or not they can build again.
Oh, the pass! The passes! Jake's like, oh my teammates. That was Jake, sorry, with the pass. He's happy with that one. That was clean stuff there from Brisbane Deceptors. They once again take the lead and they once again impress us.
And I mean, we've just seen then in the last 15 seconds how quickly the pendulum can swing. 3 goals, it's gone either way. And Brisbane Deceptors now find themselves in the lead. It wasn't too long ago that they were down 2-1.
That's right, but Melbourne Avant, now it's their turn to claw back. Vive and Bango on the defense. Brisbane Deceptors happy to play around the midfield here. Bango won't commit until now. From around the corner, Misty has to be careful. He dribbles, he pops, he goes again, takes the ball the full length of the field. Jake there against the wall. It'll be Steve who helps with the clearance, but now Jake's just on his own mission. Steve will come back in. It's a favourable bounce here for the Brisbane Deceptors, and don't they know it? A pop-up, a save from Bango. Jake's still here. The backboard ready to be peppered once again. Steve comes back. That's a bounce you don't want to see, but for Brisbane Deceptors, smiles on their face.
That ball was just bobbling around in the wrong areas for far too long. Jake, great work from him to just lock it in and keep the pressure up. Brisbane Deceptors, again, has just, I guess, wrestled the momentum away from Melbourne Avant. Bango not too impressed by that, but plenty of time, plenty of opportunity to get themselves back in.
And Bango's got that LAN experience, so you can see he's not too nervous. He's playing with the cameras a little bit as well. Bango, he's not going to find this one, but Yeatsy won't either. That curse sealed the deal for Brisbane Deceptors, so still in the game here. Melbourne Avant just have to push forward. Like Vive has done just now from the corner. It'll bounce favourably. Yeatsy doesn't get the touch. Bango does. Steve is up. Jake helps save it away. Close call as Vive tries to bring the play back into fruition, but it's done. Brisbane Deceptors, they get the clear, they get the backboard. Bango doesn't find the touch. Jake takes a shot. Yeatsy's going to come up as well. And it'll be Steve who tries to rotate back around.
Misty looking to clear that ball. Looking to give his team an outlet. And he will be able to follow that up, but he won't be able to find himself a second touch. As Brisbane Deceptors just go straight down the middle, play route 1. And Bango, if he can get that pass off, he's beaten 2, but it just sits around for a little bit too long. No real speed on the ball, no momentum. And Brisbane Deceptors, again, look to put pressure on Melbourne Avant. That is a great press away from Bango. But that ball still lingers.
Oh, no. No way. See, this is why Rocket League is on television. This is why Rocket League is just taking over. Plays like this just make it look so good. Little bit easy, even though it's not. Brisbane Deceptors making their experience look a little bit easy here as well.
And what an absolute peach of a goal too, might I add. Brisbane Deceptors now, again, just showing why they are so dangerous, because nobody knows what they bring to the table. We know that they've got some good young prospects in Steve and Yeatsy, but Jake is the one that just binds them together. And they've got the recipe, they've shown the ingredients, and finally they're cooking.
Jake happy to pass it back as well. You can see the confidence of this player. Brisbane Deceptors, a good starting week. That was a bit of a mistake. Mitzi almost capitalised on it, but Yeatsy's there to help defend. Steve happy to dribble the ball off the wall as well. He'll get it through Bango. Jake punches it back up, and Brisbane Deceptors have done enough here. Melbourne Avant almost taking us. Oh, what a save from Steve, though. Jake just blocks it through. Brisbane Deceptors manage to negate any losses that could come through. And Melbourne Avant, their ticket was there, but unfortunately weren't in time. And the Brisbane Deceptors, they'll nail this one back down. Nicely done again.
And that, again, is just sustained pressure. Vibe not clearing that one properly. Jake, you can't let him intercept like that. He's so much better in the air. And at the moment, he's just had his way with everything. Every intercept has been questioned. And he's just looking to have a chat.
Apart from that one. Apart from Avant, look, there's been great moments here from Melbourne Avant. And unfortunately, Brisbane Deceptors just felt like they switched on from the beginning of the series to now. A different Brisbane Deceptors, and in that same right, different Melbourne Avant. But it's Brisbane Deceptors who come out clean up. They'll take the win, 3-1. Our final series of the day, sorted out here with the experience of Jake.
And look, it was on show there in that match. There was a lot of pressure potentially on his shoulders, but he always rises to the challenge. I think that's the telling tale of an experienced player, just like Jake. For Melbourne Avant, obviously there was a few bumps in their preparation. Misty was a last-minute addition to the team, and they need to work out a few kinks in their game, but there is some good positive signs there.
There are. And I think with Misty as well, there were some signs of life in that game too, where we thought, you know, this player is really going to change the game. And I'm curious to see the development of Melbourne Avant over the Gfinity Elite Series. I think there's a lot of potential in a player like Misty, and I think in the next couple of weeks, we're going to see how much potential he truly has.
I think they've got all the important pieces there, Melbourne Avant. They just need to sew it a little bit, get a bit better together. As Vibe, you could see there that there was some positive signs. Vibe, Misty, all super positive in the way that they went forward. Bango, obviously we know him, he's a veteran of the scene, and he's going to be the binding force that keeps those guys together and develops them as they go throughout the season. Brisbane Deceptors, though, it was all good news. Jake, showing his experience.
It was. It was. At the earlier part of the game, though, it was Avant's game to lose, to win, whatever the phrase is. I still get confused by it. But it was Avant taking control until Jake and the rest of Brisbane Deceptors just started scoring goal after goal. They cleaned house by the end of this, as you can see from Jake, and I think an impressive performance to lead us into next week and start questioning where Brisbane Deceptors truly sit here in Season 2.
And I mean, as we saw on display there, and as we saw as the match played out, they had the ingredients, Brisbane Deceptors, they've worked out the recipe, and after that, it's just Jake and bake.
Thank you very much for Jim Nesso to making puns all day long. We're going to throw it back to the desk. A big thank you from both of us. We'll see you next week. But Luke, take it away.
Beautiful stuff, Jim. Beautiful stuff. Deceptors, a huge win to take out the final match of the day. Yeah, give them one more round of applause. Why not? I mean, it's a different team to last season, isn't it, Yummy?
Oh, completely different. And you can really tell what adding an experienced veteran like Jake to two players who are very mechanically good. But Jake just completely took ownership of that entire match. He had so many goals, so many saves, ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, speaking of Jake, let's head over to Ash right now. He's having a chat with him. How's he doing, Ash?
Yeah, hey, I'm just hanging out here with Jake. Congratulations on that win. Look, you've moved from Chiefs to Deceptors. You've clearly made yourself at home. You scored 11 goals here today, a big smile on your face all throughout. Were you having a lot of fun there?
I'm a massive ball chaser and it's a lot of fun. So
I love it. I love it. You also have two players that have never played LAN before. How do you think they went today?
Oh, they played awesome. We couldn't actually hear Steve because he needs to learn how to shout. So he'll work on that. Yeezy played amazing. I think that's the best Yeezy's ever played. So he's clutch.
Yeah, I love this. I love it. So it was an attack-oriented game. Was that a deliberate choice for you?
We really like to play like fast and aggressive. So yeah, I guess so.
Well, it definitely worked out for you. Congratulations on the win, and I'll see you next week.
Sweet, thank you.
No worries. Back to you, Luke.
Yeah, well done, Jake. Really shaking things up for Season 2. Right now, let's get into the MVP award thanks to Astro headsets. This is for the final match in Rocket League for Week 1 between Melbourne Avant and Brisbane Deceptors. It was an absolute cracker, yummy cheese, man. Who gets the Astro MVP votes?
Well, we saw, I do have to impress upon Misty having a good performance for his first time, but as Jake said, Yeezy had a massive performance, and Jake, He's
11
just
goals.
incredible.
11 goals.
11 goals, 5 assists, 16 out of 17 goals. Involved Jake. He scored time and time again. He was just ridiculous. He also had the most saves for his team. As you said, he's a massive ball chaser. So the MVP of all ball chasers does go to Jake. Big day for him. And it's going to be a big season for Jake. Can he get back into the top 4? Can he bring a brand new team all the way to the top? If he can play like that all through, he should be able to.
Well, only time will tell, but awesome stuff from Jake. That wraps up our Astro MVP for the Avant Deceptors matchup for week 1. Righto, well that is it for week 1. This is how it all played out today in the matches. We saw Sydney Roar beat Melbourne Order 3-1. Then we had Sydney Chiefs taking down Perth Ground 0, 3-2, and just then we saw the Brisbane Deceptors, a new team out on the field. They took down Melbourne Avant 3-1. So the Rocket League standings overall after week 1. This is how it's played out, guys. We can see Sydney Roar and Sydney Chief and Brisbane Deceptors all sitting on 3 points pretty at the top there. Perth Ground 0 on 1 point and Melbourne Avant. Poor Melbourne team's down the bottom, but it's only week 1. A lot of room to improve there for both those teams. Now, later today, Street Fighter 5 will be coming your way. That's at 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in Australia. Counter-Strike is on Saturdays at 3 p.m. next week. And Rocket League, of course, will be back next Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. If you want to follow us, we'd love you to. Not just around the place, online, I mean, generally. Gfinity AU with our socials. Get notified when we go live on CSGO, Rocket League and Street Fighter 5. Thanks, man. That is us, done and dusted for week 1. Ash, David, and 12 wonderful casters, Jake and Jim, thanks for everything. We'll be back next week. We'll see you again next Sunday morning. Thanks for watching Gfinity Elite Series. See you soon.